No, you're not.
Fall down the thunder will now you got.
You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Alrighty, our call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today. Same as it ever. Was that a ta-da?
Yep.
That was a ta-da. That was a. You went to a meeting with a bunch of Eskimos who were sitting at a table at a sales presentation, and you dropped a 40-pound block of ice on the table and went, boom. And they went, we'll take 9,000 units. 844 527 8723 844
13 flight controllers. Listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch.
Chat room.
Booster.
Go.
Video.
Go. Vital.
Audio.
Go flight.
Guidance.
Guidance, go.
Headphones.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Scarlet.
Com.
Instant
GNC.
replay.
Tilt. Control.
Recording.
Procedures.
Website.
Info.
Go.
FAO.
Fans.
Network. Recovery.
Notre Dame.
Captain.
We're go flight.
Launch control. This is Houston. We are go for launch.
We're going to set up a separate chat room that is just going to be for, I'm just going to call it Crusade OMG. Not Crusade Channel Chat, not Mike Church Show Chat. Crusade OMG. Or maybe I should call it Crusade FML. Maggie's going like, no, King Dude, you can't do that. Well, why not? People reporting. It would be for the, how many times a day does it happen? 30? 40, 35, 40 times a day?
Something not working?
Am I the only one that lost on it? Ooh, I turned my volume off. Am I the only one that lost? Ooh, I had the mute button on, my bad. Seriously, Crusade FML.
It does happen, though.
No, it does happen. I hope you had a glorious and wonderful long Labor Day weekend. Don't tell me that's messed up.
I don't know. No.
Is the red light on?
We're on.
Yeah, okay.
A little like
So you already got a OMG, am I the only one? And we're only we're not even 2 minutes in.
I'm going to turn off my direct message.
You know, you're here. I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to send it to Maggie so everybody can see. I would take a picture. Okay, just to prove that that's me. All right. I'm taking a picture of the only piece of hardware that's actual hardware in here that can't screw up. It's like a tape deck. If you turn it on, it turns on and it works. It doesn't have to digitize anything. It doesn't have to. There's. It's not connected to the internet. So you can put it in the chat room. You want signal or you want message? You want signal, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to send this. So this is called a instant replay, and there it is. And now she has it. Okay, now you can do it. This particular model here was made in 2005. They still make them. They don't make very many of them. But if you can find one of these little dudes, okay, so I bought this one used on eBay for $325, shipping included. If you found a new instant replay, of course, you know they had to put internet in it. They had to put it. They put a stinking LAN port in the back, and then it's USB connectable and all that. It's pretty. It's a similar device. It just has more things on it they can screw up. And this particular guy here, though, has only analog in, analog out. You can't connect anything to it so that it'll crash. It won't crash. And it's one of those devices where you just turn it on and it works. Like I said, like a cassette deck. You know, back in the old days, AM/FM radio, when I worked in it, we had these things called cart machines. Until the computers took over, until the T-Series, until Skynet took over, and you know, a bank of these guys. It was cool because they would play in succession. So, like when I worked at B97, they had like 18. So you could load up 18 particular units in a car. And they give you a log, and they tell you, and it's all color coded and numbered and everything. You load it in there, and when you hit the start button on one, there is a piece of automation. There's a little a tone that the human ear can't hear. Buckshot could hear it, but you couldn't hear it. And it tells the next tape in sequence. It says, okay, this tape is done. Now start the next one. Pretty cool stuff. In any event, it's a usual Monday here. Even though it's Tuesday. Big college football weekend. LSU. Sorry, chicken lady, but Clemson deservedly went down in flames. And it was a glorious thing to see and to behold. So that makes LSU's record against Clemson in big games that really matter, just in recent memory, in any event, 2-0. 2020 national championship game, or 2019 national championship game with Joe Burrow, and now the season kickoff, which was broadcast nationwide on ABC. And we had the big crew. We had Kirk Herbstreit and oh gosh, I forget the other. It'll come to me in a moment. At any event, LSU actually won that game by 10 more than they won it by. There was a touchdown. It was clearly a touchdown. It wasn't Mike Pereira. It was Gene. No, it was Mike Pereira. Mike Pereira's going like, I don't know what they're talking about here, guys. That's a touchdown. He goes, after the play, he even said, if I was LSU, I wouldn't hurry to the line and let them take a look at this because you're going to get 7 out of this. Not only did we not get 7 out of it, the crooked in the tank Clemson referees took the 7 or took the completion completely off the board. Plus, they should have kicked a field goal at the end of the first half. So that was actually a complete and total devastation of Clemson. Number 9 LSU beating number 4 Clemson. What was the other big story? Arch Manning, grandson of Archie Manning, son of Cooper. Most people don't know the other brother, Cooper Manning, who was in between Peyton and Eli, or as Archie calls him, Cooper. It's Cooper, Cooper. Cooper was said at the time was probably going to be better than Peyton. Of course, Eli hadn't come up yet, but they discovered in his sophomore year, might have been his freshman year, he had a hole in his heart. He was at a game and he passed out right in the middle of it. He was running and he gone. And they took him. He wound up at Children's Hospital in New Orleans. Come to find out after an angiogram and other CAT scans and what have you, they found out that he had a hole like in his heart and he could never play football again. As a matter of fact, he could never exert himself again. And so he resigned himself to doing whatever it is that he does. But that's his son. Long story short, that's Arch Manning, the Texas QB, is Cooper's, or as Grandpa calls him, Cooper's son. That was a rout. If you're a Texas fan, I wouldn't be too upset. Your defense played very good. They played well enough to win, but offense wasn't there. In any event, it's great to see college football back in action. And of course, you had to go through all the events, all the tales that were told about the portal. How did Georgia's quarterback wind up with the convicts in Miami? Here's an even better question. Why did Georgia's quarterback wind up with the convicts in Miami? Well, apparently, college football players these days are like pro players and can be bought. So Maggie and I turned because we wanted to see Notre Dame, and Miami gets the ball, and I go, Carson Beck. Wait a minute, they got the wrong name. That's not Carson Beck. He's in Georgia. No, the portal saith he is now in Miami. In any event, the NFL kicks off this week and Sunday. So football season, back to school, everything. Labor Day is over. Everything is full on. Except there was no news this weekend. The big news item of the day is this True Social post from President Trump demanding the receipts, basically, from Pfizer. This is interesting, is it not? Did I not tell you people just on last Friday's show? It just came up. No, what day was it? He did the big cabinet meeting Tuesday. So it was Tuesday when he bragged about the jab again. So it either came up on Wednesday or it came up on Thursday. And somebody went into the Crusader Stadium chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. And it was the usual stuff. He keeps bragging about the jab. This is doesn't he know? Hasn't someone told him? This is the worst thing that's ever happened. And it is terrible. It's a horrible, 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 tragic event. Of course, he was bragging about Operation Warp Speed. And I was reading some of the commentary, and I said, on that day, either Thursday or Friday, I said, guys, with the regularity and the conviction that he brings it up, it is possible that they're just lying to him. And they're just lying to him. They're just feeding him a line of bunk and telling him that everything is right with the world and that all the millions of people's lives were saved and, warp speed. And by the way, they already had that stuff ready to go. The Franken goo was already ready. All the warp speed did was accelerate the ability to crank out hundreds of millions of doses at a time. That's really the signal accomplishment of the warp speed was the manufacturing process. Because you have to make little glass vials. You got to be able to synthesize the stuff, and then you got to be able to get it in mass quantities, and you got to be able to put it into the little into the death vials. But in any event, I said on the show, I say, it is to me, my logic brain. It is logical to me that he truly believes that he's not one to run around and lie. So I said it's possible that someone is just telling him, I never promised you a rose garden, and he's getting bogus intel. A friend of mine after that last speech said to me in a private message, saying, what in the hell is going on here, KingDude? Bobby Kennedy is literally 10 minutes down the street. He was sitting at that meeting. Why hasn't RFK Jr. told President Trump, you need to stop talking. You need to stop. Look, you've got a wrong set of facts. Well, finally, it is very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Begins the True Social post yesterday. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree! Exclamation point. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer, and I want it now. All caps. By the way, this person that was fired from the CDC, all of these people deserve to lose whatever emolument they have.
He is a horrible person.
And this particular jackass is just that, not a good person. We'll talk more about that and about the president's complete statement as the program unfolds in front of your very ears. I want to continue my discussion, and I will show you now. We're going to play old school C-SPAN. Brian Lamb used to host that morning show on C-SPAN, and they had a special camera where they would hold up whatever newspaper headline it was that he was reading, and he would use his pen, and he would point to the headline as he was reading it. So I'm doing my best facsimile here. Managers let AI make final decisions. Everybody see this at home? If you're watching on video, this is a Epic Times story, and it's an epic story. I read the whole thing probably yesterday morning, and you could even see that I got my KingDude 1.0 highlighter back out. You can see all the places that I highlighted. This story tells the tale that a vast majority, over 60%, and some of the questions that the Epic Times and this other data gathering group asked of these hiring managers, human resource directors, or whatever the hell they are, that responded to this particular survey, 60+% of them are letting AI make decisions that they were hired to make. You know, I'm reading the story and I'm like, wait a minute. You know, they say one of the, let's stay in the realm of football for just a moment. Was Bill Belichick of the New England Football Patriots, was Bill Belichick the greatest genius X's and O's coach in NFL history? Or was Bill Belichick a genius and a whiz, and maybe he was just lucky when it came to personnel decisions? What players to keep, which ones to get rid of, which ones to trade, which ones to trade for, et cetera, et cetera. One of the advantages, I mean, coaching is, there is the motivational part, there's the organizational part, there's the disciplinary part. But at the end of the day, without the right people to execute the genius of an X and an O, it doesn't matter. You can have all the people there you want if they and you could have recruited all of them. If they can't execute whatever the plan is, you know, the old saying is make a plan, work the plan, right? What's a playbook? It's a plan. If you can't execute the plan, then you have nothing. So what made Belichick different than Tony Dungy or Sean Payton or any of those great coaches from Bill Parcells from that era? I don't have the answer. That's not a question that I'm going to give you the answer for. Instead, I'm going to say that there is a human element to that. Success in business, especially if you are in anything that's related to customer satisfaction and customer service and what have you, those are human interactions. I don't care how many times an AI can fire an answer off to me from appmysite.com, whoever the hell else I'm dealing with. I'm really impressed, and it matters to me when I get a phone call to fix an actual problem.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom. The Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir?
I'll just take the Diet Coke.
Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus. And Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Today's report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow slipped at last close 0.20% and the S&P was down 0.64%. NASDAQ was also down 1.15%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Victory Over Japan Day. It's National VJ Day, recognizing Allied forces' victory over Japan during World War II. Officials announced the surrender of Japan to the Allies on August the 15th of 1945, and the official signing of surrender took place on September 2nd, 1945, officially ending World War II. Between 50 to 80 million lives were lost during World War II. Today is also National Blueberry Popsicle Day. And our quote of the day, no one will have any other desire in heaven than what God wills, and the desire of one will be the desire of all, and the desire of all and of each one will also be the desire of God. Saint Anselm. And our saint of the day is Saint Stephen of Hungary. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel Live Talk and Podcast Radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
Traveling far without a home, but not without a star.
You know, the Mike Church Show band did a cover of this.
Only one will be free.
I only played it once.
Hang on to a dream.
And then I got the phone call.
On the boats and on the planes,
we're
coming
up
to
America. Yeah, I think you can figure out what the punchline was of the Mike Church Show band's version. We're bleeping up America. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at mypillow.com/KingDude. I'm sure glad that I had my MyPillows last night, because boy howdy did I need them, all 3 of them. Make sure you have a set of MyPillows on your bed, and if you travel a lot, then make sure you get your MyPillow travel version. And don't forget the My Slippers, and of course the Percali sheets are still on sale. Any size, 12 different colors, $29.98. You get free shipping on orders of $75 or more. Go to mypillow.com/KingDude. Yeah, apparently the usual suspects in the left-hard media were all giddy yesterday because they thought Trump was dead. Right, he canceled all of his meetings. He's not having any public appearance. He hasn't been seen since Tuesday. He did. They said that Biden had health problems. Trump's the one that had health problems. His feet were swollen. His hands had bruises. Did you see the bruise on his? I didn't see the bruise. You did see a bruise. Well, people that are 79 years old bruise. Easily. Doesn't take much. You know how he probably got that bruise? He was probably got the bruise for going out in the backyard of the White House and supervising the installation of the marble. So I don't know if y'all caught this. While all of the falderall, he's hiding his health is bad, he's dead, he's probably dying. Two things he was doing. One, he was playing golf with, what's her name, Kai. He was playing golf with Don Jr.'s daughter, Kai. And then the second thing he was doing, apparently, he was going through White House surveillance tapes. He didn't job it out to Kash Patel. Somebody, I just saw this beautiful, it was a beautiful piece of marble. Have you ever seen this kind of, it's beautiful, right? Right? Look at it. I just saw this beautiful piece of marble back there. And the White House is gonna be beautiful again. And then I go back yesterday and there's a crack in it. There's a giant f***ing crack right in the middle of it. And I go, all right, who did this? Who put this here? And nobody would fess up. Nobody would confess. So I said, give me the tapes. Susie, I want that you give me the tapes. Not only did he ask for the tapes, he went through them himself, apparently. Not satisfied that one of the non-construction types that worked for him would know what to look for, he went through the tapes until he found the culprit. And he found a contractor who was not supposed to be using a piece of heavy equipment machinery in that area where the marble was. And the dude, I guess it was a Bobcat. Dude drove his Bobcat over Trump's marble and cracked it. Well, he goes, well, he won't be doing any more work at the White House. I thought he was reliable. I thought he was good, but he's gone. I replaced him. He's gone. So that's where he was. Scanning videotapes. That's one thing. Let's talk about what's going on in Illinois. You can't get a number. No one will give you the actual number, so we don't know what it is. So Chicago Sun-Times, I think it's the Chicago Tribune says 57. The Chicago television news media says it's just 50 or more. They don't know. The local hospitals say, well, it's at least 7 dead. Other media entities say, well, it's at least 7. We don't know how many dead. That's this past weekend. This while Fat Pumpkinhead Mayor, Governor J.B. Pritzker and the mayor are blitzing the television airwaves and telling everyone to come to Chicago, the safest city on earth. We don't need Trump. Trump, you stay the hell out of Illinois. It's the greatest state in the union, and it's the safest. These people are literally watching murder. It is literally Gotham City in Chicago. And then you have the mayor going like, you have the duty to suffer. You have the duty to die for your Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is now, and I'm not making this up, is now literally offering human sacrifice to Moloch so that the National Guard doesn't have to come into any of their states or in big cities and embarrass them by making the streets safe while good community policing procedures can be put back into place. And, you have to repair the damage has been done to morals. Now, this is there's 2 parts of Law and Order. Russell Kirk wrote a book about this. Law and Order, the TV show. That's not a bad Law and Order sound effect. Maggie, say something. Say something about true crime.
Nope.
Dong. They have, they literally are offering human life up as tribute to Baphomet Boggle and boys. The Democrat Party is literally the party of death now. Whether it's trans, by the way, did anyone else other than Andy know? I didn't catch it if they did. Did anyone else report that the day after the Minneapolis shooting, there was another deranged tranny that also committed a transgender insanity-inspired murder? So there wasn't just one last week, there were two. Apparently, the press corps is not going to report this because they can't. By the by, just to kind of add, and I'm going to talk about the Minneapolis case here today. Maggie, can you throw the picture, because people like him pictures up, in the chat room of the Weston family photograph that Andy No posted? You can actually get the doctorate version from my website that doesn't have his watermark on it, or from my Twitter. I'm pretty sure I did post that, even though I was going, no, I put it on my Twitter. She goes, there's nothing on your Twitter. I'm like, yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. There is the Weston family photograph. And I'm not sure how old this is. Robert, it was Robert then, looks to me to be in his late teens then. So, I don't know, in the last 5 years or so. And you can see the brothers and there it is. You can see the brothers and the sisters there. Robert/Robin is on the far left in the tie-dye. The drugged out, drunk, useless piece of you know what, dad is with Robin. The two daughters, one of them is Teresa. I don't know what the other one's name is. The oldest son, who actually has children now, standing there, and then the young boy there, and there's Mary Grace holding with her arm around the young son with the peace sign on the T-shirt. That's not what I want you to look at. I want you to look above Mary Grace's left shoulder. What do you see hanging on the wall? I know this because I have one here. That is a icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Now, if you're not a Catholic, that won't mean anything to you. So I will do my best to explain. Our Lady of Perpetual Help is a Marian apparition, and I forget who it was that she appeared to, or what artist or saint it was who described it to an artist and asked them to draw them. You basically see the Blessed Mother holding a very young Jesus. You see him in her left hand or her left arm there. She's cradling him. She's trying to comfort him. You see an angel over her right shoulder and an angel over her left shoulder. The story is, and if I get any part of this wrong, I will correct it later on, but I know parenthetically, I know the story. The story is that our Lord, a very young Jesus, was shown what was going to happen to him. And not only that, he was also shown what we were going to do to him, how he was going to be, how we would daily betray him. And it so terrified him, he ran to his mother for help. You know, Mel Gibson did a really good job of kind of reenacting or paying homage to the icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help in the Passion. There is a scene, you know, when Jesus is carrying the cross in the Passion through the streets of Jerusalem, when he meets his mother, you know, and she's trying to get through the alleys to get to him, and she finally gets to him, and it's not a Pieta kind of pose because he's still alive. It's more of a perpetual help pose when she throws his arm around her. It's very symbolic of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Why do I bring this up? Well, Andy No also has a report that says that Mary Grace Westman was a daily mass attending lady trying to be as holy as she could. She was very tradition-minded. She had 6 kids. You know, her first child she gave up for adoption. She is now a filmmaker. I've seen pictures, because people like him, pictures of the first daughter, who now has been reunited with the mother. So I was asking the question last week, what kind of a relationship did Mary Grace Weston have with the Blessed Virgin Mary and and by extension, the Holy Family? Because, you know, St. Joseph is the terror of demons. And then why was she living in Florida and not in Minnesota any longer, in Minneapolis? Well, as Andy Ngo is reporting, apparently the pressure for young Robin to transition was not only him putting pressure on himself, but apparently family members, friends, we don't know who. All we know is that a source close to the family told Andy Ngo they wanted that kid. They wanted him to trans. Apparently, it wasn't his idea. It must have come out at some point, well, you know, I like playing with girl things or dressing up like a girl or whatever the case may be. And, of course, one thing leads to another, and he was encouraged, apparently, to pursue this path. Well, then the next thing people say, well, yeah, well, why did she sign the paperwork? Why did she authorize him changing his name? I can think of two reasons. One may be this. They were divorced or getting divorced. Did she have custody? If she was the custodian, then it would require her signature and not the father's. Did Mr. Westman tell his then ex-wife, if you don't do this, he's going to kill himself and it's going to be on you? That's what Andy Ngo is reporting. The family members say she was told, if you don't let him do this or help him do this or whatever the case may be, he's going to commit suicide. Now, this is blackmail that is used all over the place. This blackmail is used in so many instances here to blackmail these kids and to tell them things that aren't true. That the only way out of the dysphoric thinking that they have is that they have to mutilate themselves. They have to start psychologically, then they'll start chemically, and then you do it to yourself physically. His manifesto, which, remember, as I said, on Thursday's show, Robert Weston, learned from Audrey Elizabeth Hale. He filmed his manifesto and put it on YouTube, making sure that the Minnesota authorities, including Governor Waltz and the rest of these creeps, couldn't get a hold of it and lock it up forever. So I think we can answer the question now, though. If Mary Grace Weston was a devotee or had a devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary in that painting, and we know it wasn't the dad's, so it was her painting, that painting of Our Lady of Perpetual Help is any indication, then it would be almost impossible for the possessed kid or the infatuated or the obsessed, whatever the case may be, to be anywhere near that kind of sacramental, assuming she has sacramentals, scapulars, holy water, blessed candles, stuff like that around the house. It would be very difficult, if not impossible, for him to be around. So that might explain why he was estranged and why she had moved to Florida. I'm sure at some point in time she will tell someone or will grant an interview or whatever. Why do I think that's important? He was surrounded by bad Catholics. Yep. This is what pisses me off about this. It ought to piss you off. And the parents of those poor kids that were killed are going to find this out. He was surrounded by terrible Catholics. Something else. Is there a priest out there that promotes LGBTQ++++, saying there's nothing to see here, citizen, it's just the next step in becoming a saint? Jesus loves the little children, and he loves the little trans children too. And he loves the little lesbo, and he loves the little homo children too, because they're just a choice. God, Jesus loved everybody, and he loved all the gay, then the rainbow, then the tranny, then everyone. I am, of course, talking about Father James Martin J. Father James Martin J. is culpable here. He is the clergy, the fake clergy, that has been promoting this nonsense as an acceptable Catholic way of life for over a decade now. It's people like him, if not him almost explicitly, that give the idea that people that will put pressure on people like Mary Grace Weston, no, there's nothing wrong with him. Father Martin says he's fine. And the church has reconciled itself to lesbians now. The church has reconciled itself to homos. The church has reconciled, it's not even a sin anymore. I mean, it may be a venial sin of some sort, but that's no big deal. It is a big deal. Bad Catholics surrounded that boy. Yeah, I know. I don't want to call him father either. That's his title. And until they strip him from him, then that's his title. Just like, I won't mention any names, but certain religious would tell you during the pontificate of Pope Francis, he's still the Pope. Don't call him other names. If you're going to talk about him, you have to address him as the Holy Father, Pope Francis. Now, I know, it's coming. Here it comes. Countdown is on. 3, 2, 1. Lift off. He wasn't really a pope. He was just and they haven't had a pope since 1958. Okay, whatever, dude. That's his title. And I think he ought to keep the title so as almost like a disinfectant for future wayward priests. So at the end of the day, then, we could say that it appears as though that Robert. Well, he changed his name. I know. Robert Westman was groomed. And now, who did the grooming? Did Mrs. Weston try and stop the grooming? Is this what ultimately led to or one of the things that led to the divorce? I don't know. By the by, Andy is reporting he knows he's talking to a personal friend of hers, and that through the personal friend, now this is hearsay until you actually get it in quotation marks, but through the personal friend, that she is devastated and distraught over this, and that the reason that she moved to Florida was to extricate herself from the terrible situation that she was basically told to go pound sand over. You can actually read in the manifesto, in the journal, you can actually read where the son, the tranny, I think he was possessed, the possessed murderer, said, "Mom, you weren't very approving. You weren't very compassionate," or whatever the term. In 2 instances, he mentioned her, and he didn't mention her in a good light, meaning that she was apparently opposed to this. It's just terrible situation. How many more of them are out there? This is why when somebody says, the church doesn't matter, the morals don't matter. What matters here is that, no, the morals are all that matter. We'll talk about it more next. There's a story at the Federalist. Media dismissing the trans factor in this shooting. Enable more. If you don't get to the cause of this, or we know what the cause of, at least some of these are, and you don't point it out, that hey, this is not normal thinking. It leads, this kind of deranged thinking leads to deranged actions. When someone else becomes deranged and they're told, "Oh, no, he's perfectly normal. Let him go to the gun store. Let him go to the gun and knife show and buy and arm up." Again, I'm with George Webb, who taught him how to shoot. Where did they teach him to shoot? Same thing with the Thomas Crooks kid. Here's another headline. New York Representative Jerry Nadler, Fat Jerry Nadler, said he won't seek re-election next year. Yeah. This is Nadler fleeing the sinking ship infested with rats that are going to drown. That is the modern day Democrat Party of Death. You know, I think that if you're following or if you pay any attention to the Democrats out there, and they're not going to win any, and they're not going to win any elections. James Carville is this close to becoming an independent. I say the only reason he hasn't done it is because he would lose 6 figures in income. However many hundreds of thousands he's still paid as a Democrat consultant. He's not really a consultant anymore because everything he tells them goes in one ear, right out the other. What did James Carville say? He told the truth the other day, just like I have been telling people, well, this is the GOP, the Republican Party's fault. I'm like, no, it's not. The Republican Party doesn't do that. The Republican Party raises money, recruits candidates, and tries to win elections. That's what it does. Doesn't do anything else. It doesn't make policy decisions. It shouldn't make policy decisions. It raises money, it fields candidates, it wins elections. Or loses them. That's what it does. Same thing with the Democrat Party. Raises money, field candidates, win elections. Or lose elections. Well, that's what Carville said the other day. And Carville's like, and they're not doing it. They're going to loot. They're going to loot.
The Crusade Channel, your talk, podcast, and Fiorella Files station.
Fiorella is the literary savage who skips sensitivity training. She is the librarian who reads and reviews books so you don't have to.
Hello and welcome to the Fiorella Files. On my show, I will be introducing you to books, classic and contemporary, that you must read, should enjoy reading, or should not touch with an 11-foot barge pole.
10 to 11 a.m. Central, every Monday on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com. And so, the responsibility of every coffee cup is to ensure the authenticity, the freshness, and... Now, who in the name of Pete Texas could this be?
Good afternoon, dear.
Dear, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be home with the little coffee cups.
I was home with little Arabica, Columbia, and baby Dark Roasta, and then the phone rang. It was Director Trump.
What did he want?
Well, seems he was told that when we were at Coffee Cup Academy together, I was the one chosen to be the coffee cup inspector. Then...
When I look into those dark, roasted eyes of yours, all I can think of is, well, will you be my wifeachino?
And I've been completely happy raising our little espressos until you started spending all your time fending off some dropout and his pet Sasquatch.
It wasn't a Sasquatch, it was a Rougarou. And besides...
Oh, save it for the decaffers to guarantee we bring about the golden age of America.
In a world more and more infiltrated with fake news, AI-generated slop, isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans? Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no! Get your hands off of me! You chipped my chip.
Boys, break it up! Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content, but we hope to next time.
Hey, it's Mike Church with another adventure in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. The difference between an antidote and an anecdote. One is a cure for something that's poisoned you, like a corona hoax vaccination, and the other is a short accounting of facts, something the aforementioned vaccine has almost none of. Here's another anecdote for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacre-Coeur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag right here in America. Yep. Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. Hurry, spring is coming and supplies are limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723. The Crusade Channel and the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena with your Saint of the Day. September 2nd, Saint Stephen of Hungary died in the year 1038. Saint Stephen was the great king of Hungary, after whom the famous cathedral in Vienna, known as Stephendom, is named. Saint Stephen was crowned King of Hungary by command of Pope Sylvester II in the year 1000. He had the most ardent devotion toward the Mother of God, in whose honor he built a magnificent church, solemnly declaring her patroness of Hungary. He married Blessed Gisela of Bavaria, who's the sister of Saint Henry the Emperor, and together they had a son, Emmerich, who is himself a saint. Saint Emmerich died 7 years before his father, and his feast day is November 4th. Saint Stephen filled his country with Catholic churches and monasteries. He was a royal and noble and saintly ruler who punished severely such crimes as blasphemy, murder, theft, adultery, and the missing of Mass on Sunday. His great patrons in heaven were Saint Martin of Tours and Saint George. He had such a great love for the poor that he would wash their feet with his own hands and visit the hospitals at night, alone and unknown, serving the sick and showing them every charity. As a reward for these good deeds, his right hand remained incorrupt after his death, when the rest of his body had turned to dust. So great was his zeal for the propagation of the faith that he is called the Apostle of his nation. Saint Stephen of Hungary, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the life of today's saint. Tomorrow's saint is St. Pius X. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters and the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Filomena, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world?
Sorry, I was hanging up the new Mike Church 4.0 sign. 4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Roaming past the competition with zero emissions of boredom exclusively on crusadechannel.com.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom, where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing. The popular cigars then were the best-made cigars, like Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging, and that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Mancipio Maria cigars with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Mancipio Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Mancipio Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hey, Jim. Remember when we used to be like Joe Walsh?
I get records, my fans, they can't wait.
Now we just talk about making hit records. Well, parody versions of hit records.
Join the KingDude and Jim Mosier as they pick apart the greatest parody songs of all time and the hits they were based on. It's Album Autopsy, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be, and doesn't disappoint your mother.
Brother Mike Church presents Flashback. Sinful things that were happening 20 years ago. Jurassic Park. The remake of Godzilla. And the beginning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Are either of you, homosexuals?
You mean like flaming, or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
Let's hope and pray no one will ever confess those sins again. The Mike Church Show. Preaching and teaching from his abbey while living here in the present on the Veritas Radio Network's crusade.
Shake up the picture, the laser mixture with the dance on the eventide. You got me coming with answers on of which I demand. I said it again, but could I please rephrase it? Maybe I can catch you right. I couldn't really put it much plainer, but I'll wait till you decide. Sending you warning siren as if I could ever hide. Last time, I light my torch and wave it for the new moon on Monday. Under 5 days through the night, I stayed the cold day with a lonely satellite. New moon on Monday. Under 5 days through the night.
I wonder if Nazi Pelosi's the next to pop the golden parachute and flee the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Mondani socialist sinking ship that is the Democrat Party. Greetings to you. The fastest 3 hours in all of broadcast media and radio. The Mike Church Show is on a Tuesday here on the Crusade Channel. Who's going to be the first to break our donation gree-gree? Right now, for this week, we sit on
0.0.
But it doesn't have to be that way. You can go to crusadechannel.com/donate and be the first to get a round of applause in the chat room and my personal thanks. $5 is the minimum, and the goal for this week, and it's a short week, is $1,200. So thank you very much to all of you who can and will go crusadechannel.com/donate. Representative Gerald Nadler, Fat Jerry. You know who coined that name for him? That's Trump's name for him. That was back in the 90s. I donated to both parties, including, there he is, my friend over there, Fat Jerry Nadler. Fat Jerry, where are you, Fat Jerry? Thank you very much. Thank you. That was Trump's name for him, Fat Jerry Nadler. Of course, he got his tummy stapled and lost a couple 100 pounds. Nadler is the next one that has jumped the fleeing or the ship that is filled with rats that's going to sink off the coast of whatever state they reside in. In this instance, off the coast of Long Island Sound. Nadler got into Congress in, was it 1994? You said it earlier, but I don't see it in the story. It's 90, well, he's represented a couple of different districts. He just, speaking of gerrymandering. 1992 was Fat Jerry Nadler's first trip to the big house that is Congress, where only the unworthy get fitted for white and black striped suits with 60-pound iron balls strapped to their left ankle. Please note that the current district that Fat Jerry Nadler represents is his third or his fourth. Because you said when you were reading, I think it's its third congressional district because they keep redrawing the maps. Now, wait a minute. Only evil Southern Republicans in evil, red, hick, hayseed backwaters like Texas redraw the maps.
Yes, so he 17.
Yes.
So he started off in the 17th district from 92 to 93. Then he went to the 8th district in 93 to 2013. Then the 10th district from 2013 to 2023. And now he's in the 12th district.
Okay,
from 2023 to present.
what does that indicate? Because he lives in the same place. Okay, so he hasn't moved. So that indicates what? They keep redrawing the district to keep it a Democrat district. There you go, right there. Gerrymandering on steroids, right in front of your very eyes here, with Fat Jerry Nadler as Exhibit A. Well, 10 years ago, let me take that back. 30 years ago, he'd have been Exhibit A, B, C, and D. Now he's just Exhibit A because he lost a little weight. You know what? We don't have a lot of digital media files here today, but what we do have is interesting, is it not? Play digital media. Oh, no. Why is it number one cut the Ben father?
Because everybody was retweeting it. I got it on there.
You know what? We're not everybody, Maggie. You're the world's greatest single-handed radio producer. Just imagine there were 6 of her. Take 6 producers to make Megyn Kelly sound reasonable or sound decent on a 2-hour show on Sirius XM. We do 3.5 hours or 3 hours plus every day with one producer, and for 34 years have made it sound natural. So you go like, oh no, they just do it. No, we don't just do it. We just happen to have a particular set of skills. Oh, I saw this. I know it. All right, I saw this Friday. Didn't he tell Knowles that if he was going to convert, he wouldn't become a Catholic because we're too trad?
It's too many rituals.
There's too many rituals. Catholic everybody like rituals and stuff. They go and they don't ever change their rituals. And I don't want to be in a ritualistic church. What is that thing that you call if it's not ritualistic? And I don't even want to go into some of your rituals. Play digital media file just for poops and grins. Number one. I don't really want to hear it, but someone may wish to hear it.
In order for me to become a Christian, the central pitch of Christianity to me would be getting rid of all of the rituals, right? I mean, that's like the central pitch, right?
You're saying you'd want to mix it up. You got to mix it up.
Man. I mean, I do more ritual than you, right? I'm like as Jewish as it's possible to be, almost. And what that means is that I've said this before, Catholicism is more similar to Judaism than Protestantism, by far. There's no question, because Catholicism, as I've said to Bishop Barron, backfilled all of the ritual by basically saying faith will save you, not works. But also, it turns out that if you think that's is
not what
like a practical way of governing, it turns
Who
out
in
that
the
you
hell
hierarchy
is?
and actual.
Stop the tape! I can't take anymore. Who in the hell is this creep? Why are you sending him money, Christian man? Why? Catholicism does not backfill the hole that you are saved by faith alone. Baloney. Absolute baloney. That is not, for anyone that thinks that, let me just set the record straight. That is not true. Not true. Can you imagine someone listening to that for any amount of time?
I can't stand his voice.
You'd either leave the room screaming or you would become whatever it is that he is. By the way, let's talk rituals for just a moment. Let me shoot a hole in this clown's ridiculous argument. And I can't, I didn't listen to the whole thing, so I won't say that Knowles didn't set him straight, because I hope that he did for his audience's sake. What does it say in the holy sacrifice of the Mass, around the time, not around the time, at the time of the consecration? So, Maggie, can you find me a link to the Latin rite? what the mass says in the missal, so I can't, because I don't want to butcher it. I'm just going to show you, demonstrate to anyone that wants to hear, or just go grab your missal out of the car and I'll just read it out of the missal. That's the easiest thing. We got missiles lying all around this house here. What's wrong with a ritual? This is the same argument that you get from fake conservatives. We want to build upon what it was before. We don't want to be stuck in the past. You don't have to be stuck in the past because something is traditional. By the way, how does something become traditional? It generally becomes traditional because it produces flourishing. It produces good things. It produces good fruit. And so people go like, no, we should keep doing that. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Greatest radio producer in the history of radio producers. For all of you, my evangelical, Protestant, and Jewish brothers and sisters, this is the new Roman Missal by Father Lasance. It is probably one of the best ones ever published in the modern era, and you can see right there. I'm going to turn to the place where... Okay, this is the ritual. Let me get to the... Okay. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to get to the actual part that we were commanded by our Lord Jesus Christ to ritualize. Who the day before he suffered, this is directly from the Missal. I'll just show it to you if you don't believe me. You're just making it up. He did. No, I wouldn't do that. Look, they even have pictures. People like it. See that, bros and sisters? Look, people like in pictures. That's the Denziger brothers with the pictures. Who, and by the way, I am not trying to reenact this as a priest. I'm only reading, I'm just going to quote for argument's sake. So before anyone can go in the chat room and blame me for some sort of an abomination. Quote, who the day before he, again, this is an English translation from the Latin. Who, quote, who the day before he suffered took bread into his holy and venerable hands, and having lifted up his eyes to heaven, to thee, God, his almighty Father, giving thanks to thee, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, take ye and eat ye all of this, for this is my body. And next page. In a like manner, after he had supped, taking also into his holy and venerable hands this goodly chalice, again giving thanks to thee, he blessed it and gave it to his disciples, saying, take ye and drink ye all of this, for this is the chalice of my blood of the new and everlasting testament, the mystery of faith, which for you and for many shall be shed unto the remission of sins. As often as ye shall do these things, ye shall do them in memory of me. He's instituting a ritual. It's called the consecration. It's in the holy sacrifice of the Mass. Many people, I'm not breaking any news here. That's a ritual. Who would want, well, there are people that want to get rid of it, obviously bad people. Why would why does something like that that's so beautiful, why does a ritual get tainted with negativity? There's nothing negative about that. It's a beautiful thing. And by the way, it's God telling you this here. I'm going to show you guys, you apostles, I'm going to show you how to do this. And every time you do it as a memory for me. And of course, in other parts in the gospel, he repeats that apostolic commandment and says, whoever shall drink my blood and eat my flesh shall have everlasting life. Again, that's a paraphrase. That's a ritual. There are other ritual parts. I'm just talking about the practice of the faith. There are other ritual parts of the Mass. By the way, if you're a Jew, you will recognize this. Miniature plays. If I wanted catechism. I'm trying to be easy, Maggie. Maggie's going. You can see Maggie's pages. See how they're all soggy and crunched and.
It's holy water, bruh.
It's from Father Damien and Father Garrett and Father Glad and others asparaging it with salt water, with holy water. It's got salt in it. It sticks to the pages. If you are a Jew, you would recognize make sure I get to the right page. Well, you wouldn't recognize the nomen patris et filii spiritus sancti. You would recognize Judica me, Deus et discerni causam. Give me from the Latin. Judge me, O God, and distinguish my cause from the nation that is not holy. Deliver me from the unjust and deceitful man. The prayers at the foot of the altar are very similar to what the old Jewish rite said. That's a ritual, Ben. Do you have a problem with it? It's from your Bible or your whatever version. In any event, the guy is trying to make ritual like it's a bad thing and we need to get rid of it. And we need to get rid of it. I don't want anything that's ritual. Because we have all these Jewish rituals. Your Jewish rituals were abolished right there in what I just read. Jesus came along and went, I'm going to go ahead and destroy the rituals of sacrificing of a bloody sacrifice of an animal. And instead, you're going to do this one now for a memory of me. And it's going to be, as Catholics call it, a bloodless sacrifice. As many times as he goes out there and slanders Catholics and Catholicism, you still have Catholics that throw money at this guy. I don't get it. I don't understand. If you're a Catholic and you want to throw money at someone, throw it at the sisters. They're trying to build a convent, for heaven's sake. All right, Mike Church Show on the Crusade channel at 844-527-8723. I don't see any hand claps in the chat room, meaning we are still stuck on goose eggs. You know why? Speaking of rituals, why do we have to take on bended knee to get our fundraising started on any day when everyone that is a regular listener knows it's going to happen? You just say, you know what, this week I'm going to beat you to it, TKD, so you don't have to take away from the greatest radio show in the history of radio shows that's still on live every day. You can just talk. You let us worry about raising the funds, TKD. Wait a minute. And then I woke up. Oh, that was a great dream. Why'd you wake me up, alarm clock? Play the next one. Nicole Shanahan. I was wondering what happened to her when she was going to resurface or when she was going to say. This is her at Tucker Carlson Live tour.
When I was asked by Bobby Kennedy to run with him as his vice president, I told a friend and he said to me, Nicole, he was a former Democrat. He said to me, Nicole, I think the government needs something that politics can't give it right now. He said, I think it actually needs an exorcism.
Catholicism again.
And I laughed. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. He was dead serious. Dead serious. And I've learned over the last 8 months that what is going on here is deeper than politics.
I don't think that this is political any longer. This is this is an attempt at business by terrible business people who wouldn't survive, most of them, 6 months with $10 million of daddy's money as seed money. They'd blow it. All of them. You know, this is kind of interesting, little to what she just kind of said there about, well, I think it needs an exorcism. There's a new show that's out on FX called Alien Earth. Alien Earth. It is 150 years into the future from now. I believe it is after it takes place in the alien kind of chronology timeline after Prometheus, the last set of 3 movies that Ridley Scott made. And it takes place actually here on Earth. It's a pretty interesting way to get the aliens back to Earth. You know, they tried that in Alien 4, the one with Sigourney Sigourney Swan Song and Winona Ryder, but that one got blown up in the upper atmosphere. In any event, there was in one of the early episodes, there's 4 episodes out. In one of the early episodes that I watched, there was a conversation with one of the young people who says something to one of the older people. He gets quizzed by one of the older people. He goes, "Did you pick up on what he said?" And then the kid goes, "Yeah, he said something about the 5. And then the older, I call him Billy Idol, the Timothy Olyphant character. In the show, I call him Billy Idol. Billy Idol says, "Well, okay, what are the 5? And I'm going like, Gutfeld, Waters, Pirro. You get it, right? This is interesting. The 5 are 5 corporations. Ooh, usual suspect chat room people, where art thou? Where art thou? This is you. This is you. You predicted it. Ridley Scott turned it into a TV show for you. He does look like Billy Idol. There are 5 corporations. There's the Yatani, there's the Wyland, there's Prodigy, there's Lynch. Oh, what was the 5th one? I forgot the 5th one. In any event, then the other kid goes, and then he goes, okay, well, then how did the 5 become the 5? And the other kid goes, raises his hand, goes like, pick me. And says, no, it's not BlackRock. And says something to the effect of, well, we used to have this system called voting, but that didn't work. So the people got together and said, why don't we just let the corporations take over and run things? And the corporations took over and ran things and fixed all the problems and made everything better. And I'm just laughing, going like, you don't know very much about these corporations. but come to find out, though, the corporations are all evil. They're Pfizer on steroids. The Yatani Corporation, for example, sent a research vessel to the star system or planet or wherever, LV-40, whatever Ridley Scott calls it, to go get an alien creature and bring it back to Earth. And if you watch any of the movies, you know what they're capable of doing. So, in any event, I thought that was interesting. When she talks about needing an exorcism. Speaking of. Let's do the Andy No story about... Let's see, where is it? Did you print the Andy No? I'm pretty sure that... Oh, here it is. I have been corrected yet again. Secrets inside the Westman family as Mary Westman have been wrongly vilified. I spoke to someone who knows the family of the Minnesota trans mass shooter. According to this source, it was James Allen Westman, not Mary Grace Westman, who was the most affirming of Robin gender dysphoria. Jim is very liberal, as I saw in his social media before he deleted it. Before and after the divorce, the couple's 5 children allegedly looked to him for affirmation on choices their mother wouldn't support. In other words, the mom was like, no, you're not supposed to be out having premarital. No, you're not supposed to be shagging. Whatever the kids were doing, she was saying, no, I tried to raise you as good Catholics, and you're not supposed to do that. Apparently, she did this to the killer.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena with your Saint of the Day. September 2nd, Saint Stephen of Hungary died in the year 1038. Saint Stephen was the great king of Hungary, after whom the famous cathedral in Vienna, known as Stephendom, is named. Saint Stephen was crowned King of Hungary by command of Pope Sylvester II in the year 1000. He had the most ardent devotion toward the Mother of God, in whose honor he built a magnificent church, solemnly declaring her patroness of Hungary. He married Blessed Gisela of Bavaria, who's the sister of Saint Henry the Emperor, and together they had a son, Emmerich, who is himself a saint. Saint Emmerich died 7 years before his father, and his feast day is November 4th. Saint Stephen filled his country with Catholic churches and monasteries. He was a royal and noble and saintly ruler who punished severely such crimes as blasphemy, murder, theft, adultery, and the missing of Mass on Sunday. His great patrons in heaven were Saint Martin of Tours and Saint George. He had such a great love for the poor that he would wash their feet with his own hands and visit the hospitals at night, alone and unknown, serving the sick and showing them every charity. As a reward for these good deeds, his right hand remained incorrupt after his death, when the rest of his body had turned to dust. So great was his zeal for the propagation of the faith that he is called the Apostle of his nation. Saint Stephen of Hungary, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the life of today's saint. Tomorrow's saint is St. Pius X. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters and the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Filomena, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
So what does the 3 F's and Free Farm Friday stand for? Well, I just told you. But did you know the why of the return to the land that Free Farm Friday is all about is explained so well in book form that even landlocked public transportation writing lives, if they knew about it, would be seeing some green acres. So check out The Church in Farming, The Church in the Land, The Guild State, and Durable Trades books, along with dozens of other related titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
While Trump continues to try and make America great again
by doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the King of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio
the way it should be.
The Mike Church Show, serving the hard liquor of truth to men who want to get drunk fast since 1992.
All aboard! That's coming aboard the freight train of tariffs is leaving MAGA station. Mike Church Show, 34 years young. You people realize that in a mere 2 months, God willing, we will be counting the days down to the 10th anniversary of the Crusade Channel being launched on November the 11th, 2015. Can you believe that? 10 years coming up. Folks, in order to get the 10 years, we're going to have to raise some serious funds. I want to thank Mary's Dowry for breaking our gree-gree today. The curse has been lifted. We're not sitting on goose eggs for this week. CrusadeChannel.com crusade.com/donate. crusadechannel.com/donate. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Pass membership service and the brand new Crusade Channel 4.0 and the Crusade Channel app 2.0, which is really cool and out in both of these stores. An update went out last night. We continue to just, as little bugs and things get reported, we fix them to make it the greatest and best broadcast radio and video play and replay app that is out there. Okay, so back to the Westman family and Andy Knows reporting on the shooting last week in Minneapolis. Why is no one in that state demanding that the state be removed from tranny mammy sanctuary status? Is there no one with a set of male functioning body parts and that wretched excuse for a political climate that won't demand to tampon Tim and Klobuchar and all the rest of these groom apologists that there's something wrong with your state? You know, you've had, in the calendar year that is 2025, just for example, the state of Minnesota has had the two most high-profile, violent, vicious, and inexplicable murders in the entire continent that is the United States. First, the double murder of Melissa Hortman, Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, and her husband. The attempted murder of the Speaker or the leader of the Minnesota Senate. The attempted assassination of two other Minnesota political leaders before them. They weren't home that night by this creep named Vance Belter, who was an apparatchik and an appointee of Tampon Tim, Governor Tim Walz. And then you have the killing at Annunciation Church in Minneapolis. I haven't seen any clamor to stop the source, the mental derangement that is responsible for the descent and the demonic madness of Robert Westman. Have you seen any? I haven't seen any. Andy, no. In the aftermath of the Annunciation Catholic Church mass shooting on Wednesday, Ms. Westman, 67, has been ruthlessly vilified by mobs on social media because her signature appeared on the court paperwork that allowed Robert to legally transition as a minor. And then he says in Minnesota, both parents typically have to consent to a child's identity change. As I pointed out earlier, and if someone is a friend of Andy Knows and a listener to this show, you should tell him, I bet you that clause only applies if both parents have custody. We don't know the custody status of Robert and the other kids after the divorce. I'm theorizing that she had custody and had to sign, not him. The online mob, but the source believes Mrs. Westman was under immense pressure from professionals, doctors, and family. Doctors. Professionals. Doctors and family. All warning her that unless she signed, her son would kill himself. This threat is a familiar line from mainstream trans groups, transition or suicide. The online mob rage against Mrs. Westman grew as Minneapolis police said she wasn't returning contact with them from her home in Naples, Florida. She also retained a criminal defense lawyer, but it is not unusual for someone not to speak to law enforcement without retaining counsel. As a matter of fact, aren't we told that we should do this? Folks, if you've watched enough Investigation Discovery, by the way, episode 5 of Mom's Murders and Mysteries, the end of the Karen Reed case, world premiere debuts tonight at 7 here on the Crusade Channel. 5 episodes. If you've watched any amount of court TV or investigation Discovery, and you've seen all the people that have been railroaded by district attorneys and police departments that actually don't want to do the hard work of solving crimes, instead want to identify someone that they think did it, especially when it's a murder, pin it on them, and just get them to plead, either get the plea to it to avoid the death penalty or something similar, like what Carberger did. Although in most instances it's much worse, because all the evidence and stuff is circumstantial. So if you were ever brought to a police station and you're part of an investigation into a murder, folks, this is not me knocking the cops. I'm just calling strikes and balls here. Do not talk to them. Just say, well, when my attorney gets here, I'll answer all those questions. Thank you. Yes, I'd like some water. Thank you very much. Don't talk to them. They film the whole thing. They go back through it with fine-tooth combs. They look for any inconsistency. Heaven knows you people find 60 inconsistencies with my 3-hour radio show every day and blab it to the entire planet. And you imagine cops doing the same thing to you? And under pressure, the pressure of a murder investigation, you talking to them off the cuff, dude, they are going to nail you. They're going to they're going to take one part of a sentence from this paragraph. They're going to splice it into a tape and put it with another part of a sentence. They're going to put the two together and they're going to release it to the media. And they're going to say, he said this. She said that. And then you're going to go like, no, I didn't. That's not what I've said. If you watched the interrogations, you will never. Yeah, but if I'm innocent, dude, that's the pressure and the stress talking. Not that she's a paragon of virtue of any sort, but look what they did to Amanda Knox in Italy. They concocted that entire story out of taking little pieces of what she said in different conversations and putting them together and going, voila! Her, Andy continued, her Florida home was visited by the FBI after the shooting, but no one appeared to be there. According to local media, she was reportedly on her way back to Minnesota to be with her children. Ms. Westman, 62, lives in Mr. Westman lives in Minneapolis and is a geographic information systems application developer for tech company Esri. Company is a world leader in developing software for digital maps. According to the source, the Westmans divorced due to a values misalignment regarding child rearing. Ms. Westman was very much a traditionalist. She had 6 children in her life, the first of whom, a baby girl, was given up for adoption when the mother was young. Mr. Westman worked in Texas, not religious or conservative. After the divorce, the father kept the family home in Hastings, Minnesota. He later took on a new partner. Mr. Doesn't say who the partner is. Ms. Westman relocated to a small condo in Eagan, Minnesota, where she continued working in the administration of the Annunciation Catholic Church and School before moving to Florida in 2022. Robert was the youngest of 5 children and experienced a difficult divorce between his parents, the source says. Shortly after she signed the form for Bobby, she moved to Florida after he turned 18. She was heartbroken over all of this. She moved away from all of us. The shooter himself admitted in his manifesto that his mother was not supportive of his transition and he resented her for it. I remember one day she said something like, in the future you will look back and feel ridiculous about who you feel like you are inside. You will regret this, the shooter wrote in his manifesto. He also confessed that he'd come to realize he'd been brainwashed into becoming a trans. But by then, he wrote, it was too late to go back. Ginger and weed blanked up my head, he wrote. I wish I'd never tried experimenting with either. For him, detransition would mean admitting defeat. By the by, I didn't watch it, but I saw Alex Berenson on with one of the Fox News evening guys. I think it was Laura Ingraham. last week. Berenson's wife is a doctor. She was on the medical advisory board in New York that helped draft the rules to make legal CBD. Mrs. Berenson, or whatever the hell her name is, during this, and this is like a decade ago, during this process, actually went, well, wait a minute, how much do we actually know about this? Well, just like with the Franken goo and the COVID jabs, almost nothing.
0.0.
So Mrs. Berenson said, well, maybe we should do some studies. Maybe we should study this a little bit before you just unleash it on 30 some odd million people in New York State. And so she started gathering what intel she could find of studies that had been done about long-term cannabis exposure. Lo and behold, as a matter of fact, Maggie, if you want to search for it, you can find it easily. Alex Berenson gave the keynote presentation at Hillsdale College on that subject, let's see, probably 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I actually read it. And in it, Berenson says this stuff should absolutely not be legal. It should be made illegal in every state that it's in. These people flew off the handle. The studies that they cited were cooked. They were rigged. The real studies suggest that the long-term effect of CBD and weed consumption is mental insanity. There it is right there. Maggie found it.
That's the transcript of it.
That's the Well, you're probably not going to find an audio version. That's January 2019. I said four years ago. It was 6 years ago. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, may I point out at this juncture of the program of how we make it to 34 years in broadcasting, and while I implore you to up your ante and your support for the Crusade channel by making a deduction very soon, a 501c3 tax-deductible donation. I expect that number to come any day now, maybe today. Let the record reflect your kind, humble host did not have to go researching and fumbling about for knowledge on the CBD and the cannabis stuff because he'd already read it years ago and then just kind of committed it. All right, file that away somewhere in the back there. Yeah, put it back, open the file, put it under wackos. Filed under wackos. 70 miles northwest, this is Berenson. Northwest of New York City is a hospital that looks like a prison. It's drab brick buildings wrapped in layers of fencing and barbed wire. This grim facility is called the Mid-Hudson Forensic Psychiatric Institute. It's one of 3 places the state of New York sends the criminally mentally ill defendants judged not guilty by reason of insanity. Until recently, my wife Jackie, Dr. Jacqueline Berenson, Dr. Jacqueline Berenson was a senior psychiatrist there. Many of Mid-Hudson's 300 patients are killers and arsonists. At least one is a cannibal. Most have been diagnosed with psychotic disorders like schizophrenia that provoke them to violence against family members or strangers. A couple of years ago, Jackie was telling me about a patient. In passing, she said something like, of course, he'd been smoking pot his whole life. Of course, I said. Yes, they all smoke. So marijuana causes schizophrenia? I was surprised, to say the least. I tended to be a libertarian on drugs years before I'd covered the pharmaceutical industry for the New York Times. I was aware of the claims about marijuana as a medicine, and I'd watched the slow spread of legalized cannabis without much interest. Jackie would have been within her rights to say, I know what I'm talking about, unlike you. Instead, she offered something neutral like, I think that's what the big studies say. You should read them. Berenson. So I did. The big studies, the little ones, and all the rest. I read everything I could find. He wrote a book about this. I talked to every psychiatrist and brain scientist who would talk to me. And I soon realized that in all my years as a journalist, I had never seen a story where the gap between insider and outsider knowledge was as great and the stakes so high. I began to wonder why, with the stocks of cannabis companies soaring and politicians promoting legalization as a low-risk way to raise tax revenue and reduce crime, I had never heard the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence. Robert Westman was a Bakezoid. He was fried, ladies and gentlemen. He was baking every day. The only job that he did have was working where, Maggie? He worked at a weed shop. At a CBD dispensary. And then Berenson gives you a lot more details on this. I suggest, I suggest that you should all read this very interesting speech by Alex Berenson. Can I say, before I read it, I did not know. I thought that incidental or casual marijuana use was just that. Casual, didn't do much harm, certainly couldn't be addictive, you see. It's not cocaine or any of the heavier drugs, you see. Wow, man, it's like, man, it's just cool, man. It just makes me, like, laid back. If you read the actual medical studies, you'll be shocked. You will be stunned. Well, first of all, anyone that's going to be productive can't be a weed head. Water, oil, won't work. In nobody's world does that, it does not work. That's a great idea. I know how to get people to stop smoking dope. Tell Trump to legalize it, and all the leftards will oppose it. Everybody needs to stop immediately. Trump just legalized it. And then to finish up with the story here about the Minneapolis killer, mass murder. He's one victim short of a mass murderer. There is a girl. You should say a prayer for her. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death, amen. For little Sophie. In the name of the Father, and Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I saw a Twitter meme on it. She's fighting for her life. She was also shot in the head, but miraculously, or in the side. It says she's lost half her skull in the surgeries. They're trying to keep the swelling down. She's on day 5.
Oh, wait, this is a different girl.
But there is a girl that was shot in the head, in the skull, and survived. And they've had to remove a lot of her skull. And they're now trying to keep her alive by keeping the swelling, trying to keep the swelling down. And today is like day 5, and it's like a critical day. And the doctor's saying, if you're praying, people, today is the day. Please pray harder for, I think her name was Sophie. In any event, so he's one murder victim short of being a mass murderer. It takes 3. And that's where we leave that. Now, I want to bring up, Maggie, if you would do it one more time, I know you already did it, but new people in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat, would you throw the picture in there, because people like him pictures of the Westman family with the Our Lady of Perpetual Help. My contention is this. You're free to do what you usually do, which is, I can't possibly be. Come on, TKD, you're just making stuff up now. No, as your resident demonologist around this joint here, who's had more conversations about possessed and crazy people than I care to mention, and had conversations with exorcist assistants and have read on possession, infatuation, and possession or obsession. So look at that picture. So this is an undated picture, but on the far left is Robert in the tie-dye with his arm around the dad. They divorced in 2020, so it's at least predates 2020. So not sure 2018. I don't know. But you can see he was 22 when he died. So I'd say that 15, 16 years old. What do you see above Mrs. Mary Grace Westman's above her left shoulder? What's hanging on the wall? Very prominently. An icon or painting of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. That is not the kind of iconography that people that have bogeys on them, possessed, infatuated, whatever the circumstance may be, they don't want anything to do with her. Ask any exorcist and they will tell you, who is it that the demons hate and fear the most? Well, it's Mary. In the book of Genesis, we get the reading about, I will put enmity between the woman and thee. The woman, the archetype for the woman is the first Eve, Mary being the second. And you will snap at her, snipe or strike at her heel, and she will crush your head. She is the heel that crushes the head of the serpent. Calxma, I think it's Calx. The heel's Calx, Calx Maria. You add devotion to the Holy Family in there. Now you have the terror of demons. There's not a circumstance. The indications are that young Robert did not want to be. Read the manifesto. Don't take my word for it. Young Robert did not wish to be around his mother. Why? I say it's because he had bogeys on him who were whispering to him. We'll be back. Don't touch that dial.
In a world more and more infiltrated with fake news, AI-generated slop, hola, isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans?
Hey, what are you doing in here?
Oh no. Get your hands off of me. You chipped my chip.
Boys, break it up. Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content. We hope to next time.
Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com. Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian K. Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
News you can trust, because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley reporting for the Crusade Channel News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This newscast is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Trump calls on pharmaceutical companies to justify success of COVID-19 vaccines. 54 shot and 7 killed in Chicago over the weekend. Earthquake in Afghanistan kills hundreds. And archaeologists are excited about finding 2 Christian churches in the Western Desert. Yesterday, President Donald Trump said pharmaceutical companies, including Pfizer, should make public information they've shared with him about their COVID-19 products. It's very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs, the president said in a post on Truth Social. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. earlier this year stopped recommending COVID-19 vaccines for healthy children and pregnant women. Kennedy has also terminated funding for projects involving messenger ribonucleic acid, or mRNA technology, which is utilized by the Pfizer BioNTech and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. Kennedy has said the technology does not work for respiratory viruses. Trump says he wants companies to show the information now to CDC and the public and clear up the mess, one way or another. Bodies piled up on the streets of Chicago over the Labor Day weekend, with 54 shot, including 7 killed, as President Trump and Governor Pritzker spar over sending the National Guard into the Windy City. At least 32 separate shootings occurred in Chicago between Friday evening and noon on Monday, according to a review of police incident reports by ABC News. The shootings include a 17-year-old girl who was inside her home when a bullet blasted through the front window, according to the outlet. NBC News is reporting at least 800 people have been killed and more than 1,300 others injured in Afghanistan after a 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit the country. The earthquake struck 17 miles from the eastern city of Jalalabad, near the border with Pakistan, around midnight local time, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Our quote of the day: no one will have any other desire in heaven than what God wills, and the desire of one will be the desire of all, and the desire of all and of each one will also be the desire of God. Saint Anselm. And coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. While Trump continues to try and make America great again
By doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the king of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Our saint of the day is Saint Stephen of Hungary, the national hero and spiritual patron of Hungary. Born a pagan, he was baptized around the age of 10, together with his father, chief of the Magyars, a group who migrated to the Danube area in the 9th century. At 20, he married Gisela, sister to the future Emperor Saint Henry. When he succeeded his father, Stephen of Hungary adopted a policy of Christianization of the country for both political and religious reasons. He suppressed a series of revolts by pagan nobles and welded the Magyars into a strong national group. He asked the Pope to provide for the church's organization in Hungary and also requested the Pope confer the title of king upon him. He was crowned on Christmas Day in 1001. Stephen of Hungary established a system of tithes to support churches and pastors and to relieve the poor. Out of every 10 towns, one had to build a church and support a priest. He abolished pagan customs with a certain amount of violence, commanded all to marry except clergy and religious. He was easily accessible to all, especially the poor. He died in 1038 and was canonized along with his son in 1083. Archaeologists are excited about a couple of discoveries in Egypt that shed light on the evidence of Christianity's rise in the country's western desert. Recently, 2 churches were found in Egypt that are over 1,500 years old. The churches found at Karga Oasis, an ancient settlement roughly 350 miles southwest of Cairo. Archaeologists uncovered the remains of an entire settlement at Karga Oasis, but the centerpiece of the excavation was the discovery of the 2 churches. Both structures date back to the early Coptic era Egypt's Christianization period that began in the 4th century. Beyond the churches, archaeologists also uncovered a remarkable mural of Jesus Christ healing a sick person, a rare depiction during that period. No pictures of the mural were released. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio the way it should be.
Hey, this is a great Chicago song here. It isn't safe to walk the city streets alone. Oh, it is. No. Just X the mayors, X the governors. Greetings and welcome back, Hour 3. Mike Church Show, America's Morning Show, a crusade for truth. If you're listening, maybe you're an old listener, become a new listener again, and you came back to the fold. Congratulations, welcome back. You should go to the chat room. Make it your home today. Check it out, crusadechannel.com/chat. crusadechannel.com/chat. It's a portion of the program brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee. What am I going to have to do to sell the remaining 11 of these mugs? You can drink coffee out of them. You can use them as beer steins. Every single one of these mugs is a singular work of art. They're all handmade by the Mountain Arts Pottery Company in Montana. And no two are alike with the two-tone styling here. Gosh, I use mine every day. And yeah, you can pop it in the freezer and kind of frost it up to pour a Shiner or a Shiner Bocker and a Beta Amber into. Doubles as a beer stein. You will never need another one of these. You buy this joker, you'll be giving it to your great-grandchildren. And yeah, that's even if you put it in a dishwasher. It's that well made, and it's cool. It's got my capuchin that I designed, that I drew my holy friar on there. Get that with a bag or 12 today of Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee. One of the best blended coffees you'll ever have. You have coffee from two continents. You got Africa and you have South America. Blended by a master roaster, my buddy Kyle. And it just has a taste unlike any other. Right alongside the coffee mug and all the other great gourmet coffees from the brothers at the Abbey Roast as well. Try all of them today. One place for one shipping cost. Or if you spend $50, shipping costs this much.
0.0.
Maggie's got 3 brand new rosies in there today. You better go quick. I saw somebody saying they were going to snatch one of them up. So all in the same place, the Founders Trade and Post Store. Your purchases support the Crusade Channel and the Mike Church Show. Shop.mikechurch.com. Don't forget the Beast and Butt Rub, Capuchin, and the Katie Anna Steak Seasoning, Chicken Mamu, and all of our other great rubs and cooking and praying and reading and drinking coffee, other items that we have. What about the flags? We used to roll 50 flags every other month out of this joint. The old Quebec flag, the Sacred Heart of Jesus flag, still got them. Same shop, shop.mikechurch.com. I just want to go back quickly to something that was said last segment, just to remind people. Because somebody put in the chat room that, Chickadee, you're reading the Bible. That's not what it says about the heel of the snake and the lady. No, that's what your King American, New American, latest edition of the Dr. Seuss translation of the Bible says. Mine is from the Douay Reims. If you're a Catholic, it's the only one you should be reading. Yeah, but Father Benny Boom Butcher, maybe you should tell Father that you prefer the Douay Reims. It was made by Jesuits, or interpreted and put into print basically by Jesuits back when Jesuits were acting all Jesuit-y and stuff. This is the exact quote from Genesis about the demon, the devil, and the snake, and the woman. And the Lord God said to the woman, "Why hast thou done this?" God went, "Eve, what made you do this?" And the woman answered, and she answered, "The serpent deceived me, and I did eat." And the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because thou hast done this thing, thou art cursed among all cattle and beasts of the earth. Upon thy breast shalt thou go, and earth shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. I will put enmities between thee and the woman, and thy seed and her seed. She shall crush thy head, and thou shalt lie in wait for her heel." Any decent statue or painting of the Blessed Virgin Mary, if its full body, will show her she never has shoes. Should never have shoes on. Now, there are a couple where she has shoes. She shouldn't. All show her barefoot, standing usually on a globe, not on a platter, and what's underneath her right foot? The head of the snake that she just crushed. Her left foot is holding the rest of the beast down. That's how that goes. Let's talk about this, since we mentioned it earlier. What's going to happen today? Is Pfizer going to come clean? No. People will go to jail, you would think, if they did. Trump, yesterday. It is very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer, and I want it now, all caps. I have been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off to the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug companies' COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess, one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter. President DJT. That's Trump saying, Bobby Kennedy just told me what he and the Children's Defense Network have been researching, what the producers of the movie Vax, what Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, what Dr. What was his name from Stanford? Ioannidis. Who's the other guy that works in Dr. Martin? Who's the other one that works in CDC with Dr. Bhattacharya? Folks, these were some of the first signers of the Great Barrington Declaration. These are the men who have been saying that's not what the science says. So this, to me, is after that cabinet meeting last Tuesday, is finally Secretary of Health and Human Services Bobby Kennedy said, Mr. President, I have to talk to you. Because you got to put yourself in Bobby's shoes. He says that, and he's sitting right down the table, and he wants to raise his hand and go, Mr. President, actually, that's not correct. But he does it because he's a good man, and he's subordinate. So the way I read this, who else could have told him this other than RFK Jr.? This sounds to me like RFK Jr. had the come to Jesus meeting with President Trump and said, tell him to show it to you. They won't show it to me. He goes, why do you keep saying that? Well, Bobby, they keep showing me all the lives that I saved. I saved them all. So I thought that it was prudent to bring this to the show's attention today, because I believe that what is going to happen, because the numbers aren't good, especially now. Dude, if you knew what they had to do with the VAERS, that's vaccine, or is it VER, vaccine, accident inquiry reporting, vaccine adverse event reporting system, VAERS. What they had to do to keep that drug to keep the drugs on the market is to minimize the impact of those calls and to not catalog them as anything other than, wow, you know, we're just she got a little itch out of it. No, she dead. And the people that have been that have died as a result of this. In any event, I think that this has Kennedy's MO on it. And that he probably told him, tell him to show it to you. Tell him to back it up, because he probably told him, I don't think they can. I've seen the actual numbers. We know the VAERS was rigged. We know, and what you have the clip, Maggie, play it. You have RFK Jr. saying, everyone knows someone that's died from the vaccine, right? That's number 7? Yeah, not everyone. 25% Americans believe they know someone that was killed by the COVID vaccine.
There's 25% of Americans who believe that they know somebody who was killed by a COVID vaccine.
Killed?
Killed. 25% of Americans, 52% of Americans believe that the vaccines are causing injuries, including death. 52%. Oh, if you look at the clinical trial studies, the actual studies that were done that were released of the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna has not released it. If you look at the Pfizer vaccine, there were 22,000 people in the placebo group, 22,000 people who got the actual vaccine. And the people who got the vaccine had a 23% higher death rate from all causes at the end of that study.
But that could not be the disease itself?
No, well,
because we know that
if it is, then the vaccine doesn't work, does it?
Well, it's certainly...
And even Bill Maher's audience goes, whoa, 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 whoa. That wasn't me saying, that was them. The science is, I believe, certain. People are still dying. People are still being affected. I know 2 people personally. I didn't know someone that died. No, I do know someone. No. I don't know anyone that I know 2 people that died from run. Death is near. That Fauci and company killed. My Uncle Wally and Shannon. So I know that's 2 people directly that I know that remdesivir, run. Death is near, have killed. We're going back to this statement by the President of the United States. By the way, Elon Musk, pay attention. This is the difference between presidential power and being the richest man in the world and owning a media empire power. Trump says something like this. Right now, Alex Borla, the CEO of Pfizer, if he's not a German resident or if he has an American passport, he better, and he's a dual citizen of Germany, where Pfizer, I think, is based out of Germany. If I were you, I'd return to the mother country. You're not going to want to... They're not going to be able to produce numbers that are going to show that Warp Speed did anything other than maim and kill people. For one thing, you can't prove a negative. You can't say, well, all of these people did. Well, you don't know that. By the way, and this is also going to come out, and it came out in the Great Barrington, part of the Great Barrington Declaration. ILI, influenza-like illness, kills people every year. I don't know. Maggie, is that a news flash to people? The flu, pneumonia, whatever you wish to call it. Somebody gets the flu, then they get pneumonia, or they get complicated from it. It's called an ILI. Kills people every year. An average year of death in the United States from ILI is somewhere in the order, I think it was like 85,000 people a year on the average. You know, we all became PhDs in the flu in the year that was 2020. We had to learn about it because they were lying so much. And you go like, wait a minute, if people die, yeah, they die from the flu. This is these scared geezered citizens, and they're going off to CVS and Walgreens and getting free flu vaccines that don't work. So I believe that what they're ultimately going to find out about this is, if any statistics are released, it will be a set that is rigged. They can't release the real numbers. That's if they have them. Why would you catalog something like that? Why would you study the inefficacy and the mortality rate of your so-called miracle drug? You wouldn't. And I don't think that you can get away with it the way you might have been able to get away with it 5 years ago. Or do you not think that this one goes... That's me sweeping stuff under the carpet. By the way, Mike Churchill on the Crusade channel here. Is Mary's dowry still the only contribution we've had today?
There was 2 donations.
Two donations. Thank you very much. Still, crusadechannel.com/donate. It's a big ask this week. It's $1,200 because last week we didn't hit the number. So please, crusadechannel.com/donate. Just want to mention this quickly. Brother Andre and Marie hopped into the chat room a little while ago because he heard me talking about Calx Mariae and the heel of Mary and the quote from Genesis, which I quoted directly from the drbo.org. And brother said that statement is very intense. There's here, let me actually, what did he actually say before I get in trouble? The passage from Genesis 3:15 is a very involved matter. Indeed it is, brother. I want to read you what the DRBO footnote on 15 is. I will put enmities between thee and the woman, and thy seed and her seed. She shall crush thy head, and thou shalt lie in wait for her heel. Maybe brother should do a reconquest on this. Or maybe we could do a Wisdom Wednesday this week, tomorrow. The note is, she shall crush. Ipsa, the woman. So diverse of the fathers read this place conformably to the Latin. Others read it ipsum, that is, the seed. The sense is the same. For it is by her seed, Jesus Christ, that the woman crushes the serpent's head. So what they're saying here is, no, he's not talking about her. He was talking about the seed. Okay, well, either way, you still get her crushing skulls. Here. This is a good one. While we're on the subject of medicine, play... Joseph During with Tucker. How widespread are antidepressants? You know, we talked about this every way to Sunday on this show, and about how all the little children that are running around out there, that are claiming that they have anxiety and that they need drugs. I keep telling both of my daughters, tell that quack that is your psychiatrist, because they're in that number. Yes, I have some family members. I tell both of them. As a matter of fact, I did convince one of them, can you just go down, do your father a favor, just listen to me. Go down to the smallest dosage available. And she did, and I said, a rosary is the best cure for depression on earth. There is no better treatment for depression and anxiety than praying Our Lady's Psalter. Remember, pray, hope, don't worry. So the first one, is this the one where he says about how many people are actually depressed and that you can't tell, that there is no physiological test for this? Watch.
I think this is one of those topics that if people understood the scale of the problem and the severity, that we would be talking about this every day, along with, immigration and foreign policy. This is, in my view, one of the most important things going on right now. Give us a sense of how widespread the use. So let's just start with SSRIs, antidepressants. How widespread is their use in the United States?
About 14% of the population.
Total population.
Of the total population is currently taking an antidepressant
Stop
medication.
the tape just for a second. 14%. That's 1 out of every 8, if I did my math right, are on SSRIs. Roll it.
Currently, yes. Yeah. And that's actually as of 2014. The numbers have gone up since COVID. So I would say it's probably between 15 to 20% of the population
is currently on those drugs.
Are taking antidepressants on a daily basis.
Antidepressants on a daily basis. To quote Hank Hill here, whatever you do, don't go to therapy or take their drugs. They'll only screw you up more. Hank Hill was right in 1997. Hank Hill is right today. These quacks are just that. They're quacks. I never understood people's fascination with psychiatrists and psychologists. Because they have an enlightened view of humanity, what people are thinking, how they think. No, they don't. No, they don't. They sit there in their comfy little chairs and they listen to people babble on endlessly, and then they reach for a little pad and they script them out. They send them out a prescription. They tell them, hey, well, I'll see you for our session next. Yes, bring some good pipe tobacco. We'll have a smoke afterward. I'll see you for our session next week. This is a scam. This is an absolute and total scam. Is there a need for psychologists? Yes. The science of psychology? Yes. As a matter of fact, if you want to study it as a actual field of real scientific and supernatural inquiry, I think I got that right, I say go to Catholicism.org. Take the Philosophia Perennis course. I believe psychology, what is that, brother? Number 3, I think it's logic, cosmology, psychology. You don't have to take them all. Actually, you should take them all. But if you just wanted to take one, I always say take the one in ethics, but they're all great. Take Brother Francis's 8, 9, 10, however many lectures it is, course on psychology. And Brother will fill you in on the actual science of psychology.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of auto pen, social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and educational radio.
The way it should be.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Today's report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow slipped at last close 0.20% and the S&P was down 0.64%. Nasdaq was also down 1.15%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Victory Over Japan Day. It's National VJ Day, recognizing Allied forces' victory over Japan during World War II. Officials announced the surrender of Japan to the Allies on August the 15th of 1945, and the official signing of surrender took place on September 2nd, 1945, officially ending World War II. Between 50 to 80 million lives were lost during World War II. Today is also National Blueberry Popsicle Day. And our quote of the day, no one will have any other desire in heaven than what God wills, and the desire of one will be the desire of all, and the desire of all and of each one will also be the desire of God. Saint Anselm. And our saint of the day is Saint Stephen of Hungary. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
This is a pixel. Now, if you put a couple of million of these dudes together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 160 billion of them together, and you've got Nina Gaynor's A Garden for Mary children's book. But it doesn't smell like a book. And it'll burn teeny little holes in your kids' teeny little corneas. So is the pixel really their friend? I'm Groot. That's right, Groot. No. But the Founders Trading Post is their friend. And we have actual books with actual kind of kid-smelly pages and pictures, because kids lack in pictures. Plus, our little bookstore has everything the kids' parents expect. I'm Groot. Yep, we got the Beast and Butt Rubs, but nope, there is no Helen Reddy played here.
Pick up a copy of Garden for Mary, plus dozens of other Catholic children's books titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel Live Talk and Podcast Radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
The Mike Church Show. A lone voice crying out in the wilderness.
What rights do you think you're referring to?
Rights, like in that official paper that they wrote down the street there?
That's the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, the Bill of Rights. Don't it say something about going after what makes you happy?
No, that's the pursuit of happiness. But what's your point?
My point is I'm pursuing something and nobody looks too happy about it.
He's defending your pursuit of the right to happiness by way of the truth since Rocky IV.
Who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody.
The Mike Church Show is heard exclusively on the Crusade Channel.
How you doing? The longest running long form radio program on air anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached peak. Let's see here. What's the word? Peak privileged black female. As people across the amber waves, MAGA, continue to stand up to being bullied by the black female in public who believes that they are untouchable. Look at your fat Fonnie Willises. Look at your Mao Titia James. There was an incident on a tennis court the other day at the U.S. Open where a white girl tried to congratulate the black girl she had just beaten. And the black girl was like, get your crap out of here. And white girl was like, whatever, dude. I don't know that that's actually what she said. Well, it was told to me third party by you. So
I never said she said cracker.
you said, you said, she said, listen up, cracker hoe. You didn't beat me. You didn't beat me. You ain't nothing. And anyway, she was a terrible sport. And the white girl finally went, you know what? Bleep it. You don't want to be a good sport? Don't be a good sport. Look at all the people looking at you. Your reputation is skyrocketing. Add to that this. Liberal Women and the Destruction of American Civilization by Steve McCann at AM Thinker. And you want to know why? Do you want to know why? We're going to go. We can also do some more Joseph Witt During. Here, you want an example of why the 19th Amendment is gone? Sugar is toast because of digital media file number 11. Nothing I can say can prevent you or can prepare you for the random act of stupidity over a microphone that you are about to experience. Warning, children should not listen to this. They will literally be bleeding IQ out of their ears and may never recover from the damage. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to get your children out of the room, turn the volume down, come back in 26 seconds.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
I'm pretty sure that you got the wrong race and you got the wrong stats. Not saying it doesn't happen. What was the football? Oh, gosh. Jasmine, look up Warwick Dunn. As an example, just one. Just one. I'm going to give you one example. Warwick Dunn. And come report back to us. People are going like, better sure played. Who is Warwick Dunn? Why did Warwick Dunn matter? Warwick Dunn played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was a native of Baton Rouge, Baton, Louisiana. Warwick Dunn, by the time he was 25 years old, had 11 children from 11 baby mamas.
Oh, so he's Elon. Before Elon
was... Well, so he's Elon. Why do I bring the Warwick Dunn up? Folks, the NFL puts a kibosh on this. If Aaron Andrews were to go and try and report on this, she gone. Next day, she gone. If anyone were to try to report on this, the Sports Illustrated or any of the sports beats writers, they're gone. They will lose all their access. You're not allowed to do this, but the league, NFLPA, NFL Players Association, keeps stats on this. The number would shock you. The amount of NFL players that are arrested on any given Friday or during the offseason for simple low caliber felonies, theft. You wouldn't believe it. But and this is true in the NBA as well. The incidents of illegitimacy and famous or popular black professional athletes basically trying to repopulate Earth single-handedly is simply stunning. Why is it? Why is that? Well, now, it was bad before the left-hard liberal social welfare state. Now it's just an epidemic because they can. They think that all that money that they got, that they currently have. Someone said, who else? Is Adrian Peterson another one? Oh, dude, you look at it, you have no problem finding examples. No problem whatsoever. But no one, Warwick Dunn I know about, and I just gave you the story, and that's not a reflection. I don't know anything about Warwick Dunn. Why don't we know the story of Phillip Rivers? Phillip Rivers was the quarterback of the San Diego Chargers. I think he's still playing, actually. Phillip Rivers is a devout Catholic, and Phillip Rivers was single-handedly repopulating San Diego, California. his wife was popping out a child every time she was able or fertile to do so. And I want to say that kind of like the Duffys, the last Rivers child that was born might have been born Downs. I'm not sure about that. I thought I saw that. The point is, there are good men in pro sports, like Harrison Butker, like Phillip Rivers, and there are many of them that are family men. They somehow manage to manage all of that money and all of that fame, but it doesn't really matter to them. What matters at the end of the day is the same thing that matters to you and I, guys. Are we getting our wives and our children to heaven? That's what matters, right? Seek me first the kingdom of God and all these things, and his justice will be added unto thee. That's an important commandment. Our Lord himself gave us that, guys. That's on us. So Maggie put into the chat room, Antonio Cromartie apparently leads the league. Reportedly fathering at least 14 children with multiple women. Tyreek Hill has 10 with multiple women. Travis Henry has 11 with 10 different women. Terrell Owens has several children with different women and has had legal issues regarding child support. Cam Newton, 7 children, some biological and some from his partner. These were all once very famous, climbing the ladder of success in professional sports. I don't believe, is Cam Newton even playing any longer? How are you going to pay for the tab that you have now run up? Evander Holyfield, Marketech says, had 11 children with 6 different women. Now, look, I'm not trying to pick. I'm just saying, if Jasmine Crockett wants to go looking for infidelity and how it's destroying society, you might look in your own backyard among professional black athletes.
He has 11 children with 6 women.
Who's that? Evander Holyfield. So that's the reason I brought it up. There should be no children left without a father. There should be no woman left without a husband. These are unnatural abominations. Any society that says otherwise is one that's not going to last very long. Do you have another... There's so many of these, Maggie. Why don't you play Digital Media File number 14? We'll continue on with Joseph Witt Daring with Tucker Carlson. That's just a couple of different clips from the interview, a very lengthy interview.
You go to med school, you decide to become a psychiatrist. You spent, good residency, all stuff. Did anybody during the whole course of that program note that as the prescription rate for these drugs has risen, so is the suicide rate?
No, not at all. Yeah,
they don't notice that.
They don't bring that up at all.
Isn't the whole point of medicine noticing the connection between behavior and outcome?
Yeah.
People who smoke a ton of unfiltered cigarettes get a higher rate of lung cancer than those who don't. So that's why we know smoking's bad.
Yeah. You just get a version where it's like, yes, mental health is getting worse, but instead of them saying, well, it's because our treatments don't work, what they will say is that, the depression is rising. This is a serious medical condition. It's occurring more and more. And us and our drugs, we are stemming the tide. If not for us doing this, this would be overflowing and getting out of control. And so rather than actually reflecting on the fact that things aren't getting better, they are just saying that, this depression, which didn't really happen that much before, it's just happening more and more and more. And so that's how they justify the worst outcomes.
I get it. I mean, they're children, obviously. It's just you're freaking me out here because these are just kind of basic logical questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is, if depression is rising, and it sounds like it is, why? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Does anyone ever ask that? Did you hear anyone ask that?
And people do ask this question, and I think it's multifactorial. From my vantage point, depression is rising because our treatments don't work, and they may actually make people worse. But then there's also very legitimate things going on in society that makes depression rise. Housing is unaffordable. There are real things going on that are also making people.
Society's getting crappier and more dysfunctional. That makes people sad. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like if you're treating an illness, the first question you would ask is where did this illness come from?
Yeah.
No?
All right, stop asking common sense questions and stop talking to doctors that want to give you common sense answers. Bert Starr for the win. Bert, exactly. Doesn't have anything to do with all the technology and crap that's corrupting people's brains. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Purpose, just for the point of view or for the edification of those who haven't heard it. Or maybe you heard me say it once and went, it's just some stupid radio guy. Okay, well, the stupid radio guy is going to say it and reiterate it again. The human being. Now, we're versatile. And God created us, and we have an incredible amount of potential and power among the other life forms in this biosphere, if you will. Obviously, we are the favorite. Obviously, we are exalted because Jesus came not in the form of an animal, but in the form of a man, exalting man's, the imago Dei, to the level of sanctified in our Lord's true nature, his human nature. Now, not that we're sanctified. I'm saying that he elevated it. We are an incredible, incredible creation. Obviously, God's favorite, and are capable of many, many, many things in the world that God created. Now, you could say, yeah, but God allowed the technology. True story. He did. Maybe as the ultimate Garden of Eden temptation. We're going to let you create this society around you that you think is so star-spangled awesome, and I'm going to see if you can actually put me above it. You think you have your God that is technology. I'm telling you, no graven images before me. And if you elevate that technology above me, then it's not going to turn out well for you. And I think that's a better explanation, Bert Starr, that technology has become a graven image. Worshipped by many. Well, wait to just see what the future holds. Why can't we just wait and see, deal with what the present is yielding? Always, what's that? In Star Wars, Lucas gets it right. And then the Empire Strikes Back, Yoda gets it right. His mind is always somewhere where he is not. Do as you now, not there. He tells Luke Skywalker, why, dude, pay attention to what's in front of you, not what is going to happen. It's good advice. You know, I'm skimming this piece by Steve McCain, and I'm going like, this is pretty good. Magdalene Rose, maybe you've seen this, Liberal Women and the Destruction of American Civilization. He starts off thus. The societal damage that liberal females, and in particular white women, have wrought over the past 4 decades is bordering on the incalculable and brings to mind a quote from Helen Keller. Jim Mosier, if you're listening, Jim Mosier, Helen Keller, deny her T-shirt to the chat room. Helen Keller, deny her T-shirt to the chat room. You know, he had one of these white liberal women get all up in his face over that T-shirt and curse him out, basically. And what does that T-shirt mean, Mr. Mosier? Well, I have a son that's deaf. It doesn't matter. You're not allowed to. In the story of my life, Helen Keller wrote, I think the degree of a nation's civilization may be measured by the degree of enlightenment of its women. Close quote. There is a direct correlation between the accelerated decline of American civilization over the past 40 years and the rise of the outside influence of unenlightened and supercilious liberal women. Some years ago, I watched a panel discussion with a number of professors at a prestigious Ivy League university. These academics were regaling a naive and worshipful audience of mostly white with a smattering of black women about the necessity of viewing diversity, equity, and inclusion, the LGBTQ+++ movement, and third wave feminism and stuff as all-encompassing national civil rights battles. By the way, 76 chatters in the chat room, crusadechannel.com/chat. Wow. The reference to the United States as a racist and oppressive nation founded on white patriarchy were incessant. These leftists claimed to raucous applause that white privilege and resultant oppression required the immediate acceleration of the LGBTQ and DEI agendas and the transformation of American culture and society. The adoring and reverential expressions on the faces of the young women in the audience was priceless. It was as if they had suddenly discovered meaning and purpose in their apparently guilt-ridden or cosseted or rage-filled lives. They no doubt thought that the prospect of being swept up a grand crusade of promoting all manner of civil rights in a heartless capitalistic society would bring relevance to their lives. What they did not fathom was that they were being manipulated in order to bring about a socialist, one-party oligarchy by playing on their emotions and the nation's history of civil rights movements. So, in other words, they're useful idiots. Which is why, one of the reasons why, when you see them get into politics, Magdalene, it's so rare that you get a Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's almost as though she looked at these leftist, left-hard liberal women like this and went, someone of my gender has to climb into that ring and say, no, that's no, no, don't do that. Stop doing that. And maybe there is another way. But you know what? Marjorie Taylor Greene was only the darling of the right for a little while. Now she's been reduced to when she can get on with Matt Gaetz, she gets on, or when she can get on with Bannon or those people at Real America's Voice, she gets on. She's been kicked out of Conservatism Inc., Magdalene. No room at the inn.
Yeah. Well, she has, and I think that's also because of her objections to Speaker Johnson on a lot of things. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is an interesting person because Conservative Inc. never liked her whatsoever. They always thought she was too brash and too loud, but they tolerated her because she was aligned with them on the majority of issues. And then about 2 years ago, she really started to break away from that. And I think the sort of MAGA caucus, even if it was informal, was led in a lot of ways by Matt Gaetz. And this is why I still to this day don't really understand what his trajectory was here, unless he just didn't want that ethics report out while he was a member of Congress. Because for him to leave Congress and then pull out of being considered for Attorney General, it was so messy. And I think it hurt the MAGA caucus interest quite a bit because he was the ringleader of that. He had OG time in it. He comes from a powerful family in Florida. He comes from money. So he had a lot of additives that other members didn't that allowed them to be brave in their stances. And so with him out of Congress, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have even less protection. And I think that's why we see a weakness in Congress that we didn't see a few years ago.
Well, I want to know where let's see, I'm trying to phrase this correctly. Among all the leftists of the Midwestern states, including Minnesota, the Klobukars, the Dimwitmers, the Stabenows, the Slotnicks, and all the rest of them. Where is the feminine, motherly empathy for what just happened right under their own noses in Minneapolis? And the cause of this is obviously a fake form of feminism that's been invaded by and basically is populated by men. And yet every single one of these left-tard women are 100% thrown in, oblivious to whatever the reality and truth on the ground is, and apparently are going to ride this tranny lesbo thing all the way down to the bottom, wherever it is that they finally bottom out, which I believe is the end of the Democrat Party.
Well, I think that's true. And I think that's sort of the harshness we have right now in society. The girl boss era of millennials that really started in the mid 2000s, it's been really detrimental because the women who adopted that are really miserable now. And that's something we don't hear about that much. They're really unhappy. A lot of them are divorced. They never got married. They feel very lied to. And it's a frustrating thing because it was so supported by media, by politics, that there was no safe space to really object to it if you were still going to be a Democrat or even an independent. Republican women knew it was lies. But in general, if you were on the other side at all, you didn't have anyone telling you the truth. And I think that one of the other problems is that we have these weird archetypes within Republican politics for women, where you either become one of these like Fox News bottle blonde kind of things, or you become really brash and loud. And there's no middle lane. But this has frustrated me for years because I think that I'm more in the middle lane of you can just talk and discuss things and have commentary, and you don't need to be like trying to lead a revolution or being a beauty queen. And it's a very strange thing. And it's one of the things that Democrats have well pointed out. It holds us back, is that we don't have these middle lane of people. And for as long as that's going to go on, you're always going to have like the extreme highs and extreme lows within conservative politics. And I think a good example, though, of sort of like unlikable women and things is that the Cracker Barrel CEO was literally the archetype of all of this. A woman in her late 40s, feminist, very liberal, had sort of a girl boss vibe about herself, annoyingly big rimmed glasses that are performative. And she took that company and nosedived it. The same thing with Bud Light. They had, I don't know if she was the chief marketing officer, but she was the person behind the Bud Light thing with Bill Mulvaney. She did the same thing to them. So you have to know your audience. And I think the problem for corporate America is the people they infused so much money into and told were superstars. They don't have an audience, and now they're at the helm of major companies, and they keep destroying them.
Well, just sticking with the left-hard women again. These are a bunch of screaming, howling banshees that don't make any sense, and they don't even act like women in public. Instead, they act like they're feminist, limp-wristed male counterparts. In Minnesota, Klobuchar actually might talk a more coarse, more rough and tumble game than Tampon Tim does. But then again, Tampon Tim is not going to show up at the boxing arena and hang out with Don Jr., Trump, Mike Tyson, and Dana White on a Saturday night. They don't want anything to do with it. So, you had this serious dichotomy here. And I think the guy that wrote this piece is absolutely correct. And I think that there is some sort of there's a disconnect here. And the disconnect, look, Fat Jerry Nadler is quitting. Now, he can give all the reasons that he wants, that it's time, he's been around, and they're all true. They're all true. But to me, a guy like Nadler is just going like, I have had to sell this garbage lie for almost 40 years now, 1992. For 34 years by the time I throw it in the towel. There has to be something else that I can do. I do not want to go down with this sinking Mondami Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez ship. I keep waiting for Nancy Pelosi to say that. That's it. I gave it a good run, and I'm out too.
Well, I don't think that will necessarily happen. I think that they have so much sort of banking on this. But for Democrats at this point, they know what Republicans are doing, for example, with Mamandi in New York. They know, and I don't like this idea, but I understand the thinking behind it. The Republicans are not pulling Curtis Sewell. They're not using whatever blackmail they probably have on Andrew Cuomo, because I think everybody in politics at that level has blackmailed Andrew Cuomo to get him out of office, to get him out of running, because they want Mamandi to be the thing that AOC was in the 2022 midterms that helped Republicans. Not 2022, though, the one before that, rather, the one with Trump as president. They want him to be the guy they can point to and say, socialism is coming, you have to vote to protect us. They want a repeat of the 2018 midterms, where Republicans did pretty well. We picked up a significant amount of Senate seats. We got Josh Hawley out of that. We flipped Indiana. So I think that Republicans look at Mamandi as a gift. And for Democrats, they're in a really weird place, because the gift that Republicans have could really mess them up. If he gets elected and he is somewhat successful by Democrat standards, Democrats across the country are going to say, we now have permission to be democratic socialists. And if that happens, it's a very dangerous thing for them.
Well, if they are Democrat socialists, but if they finally admit it and they go full-on Democrat socialists, that's crossing a Rubicon. And you're going to have people that are here. I'm going to give you something that keeps happening. And I think that bubbling beneath the surface of conservatism is a real, it's a palpable anxiety. It came up at the Q&A in the White House on Thursday on Friday, Caroline Leavitt. She was asked again about a new media reporter. And the question that she asked was something to the effect of, Caroline, you now have another pair of judges. You have a judge that has basically defined the previous Supreme Court order on illegal immigrant deportations and halting the deportation of Gilmar Abrego Garcia. And then you have a judge that's coming along and says that he gets to make policy on tariffs and has stopped Trump's tariffs from here to the ice world of Hoth. When do you guys get to the point where this is just all too much and you start ignoring? And she goes, well, we've always said that we are going to obey the judge's rulings and that we are going to beat them in court. And it's like people are saying today, well, they're going to win this one at the SCOTUS. They're going to win that one at the SCOTUS. But every time you get delayed, you get another one down the line that is going to be empowered. At some point in time, the American people who have seen this in their own communities. There was a story last week about General Longstreet, another Confederate, a Confederate whose statue, I think it was Longstreet, was removed by the order of a judge. Well, a bunch of people that didn't even live in the state of North Carolina, they brought a suit, and for whatever reason, they got this Confederate General Story in his park. Basically, they took the park down, they moved the statue, and they moved it somewhere else. Judges do not have the authority to do these sorts of things. I think this is the dangerous game that they're playing. They're going to push people to the point, going to go like, okay, we don't want a system where we have judges anymore. We are finished. We're going and appearing before these black robe demigods, apologizing for our life, our way of life, our traditions, our family, our history, etc., etc. They're going to keep pushing to the point where people, the only reaction that is going to seem acceptable or palatable is going to be civil disobedience. And I don't know they realize that the powder keg that these goofballs are playing with.
No, I don't think they do. And I think that the frustration here is that the judiciary is something Republicans are really good at. I mean, we get through Supreme Court justice when we have no business getting them through. So for Trump to sort of be told what to do by judges or have that be an issue is a problem. And I think Stephen Miller gave the greatest assessment of this. Like, you don't elect the president and vice president and Congress and the Senate and everything to then be run by an unelected judiciary. And that's a problem. And it's been a problem for a while in the United States. And I think it became very, very big in the Obama era, where he would go to the Court of Appeals that would help him, and it would be a constant battle. And it wouldn't matter how many great legal scholars Republicans had. It's just a numbers game. And one of the great factors, I think, in 2016 was the Scalia seat being open, because Republicans had just spent 8 years being tortured by Obama's complete activist judiciary. And that's something that Democrats, they fail to motivate their base when it comes to the Supreme Court and other areas of that, which is really strange because all they talk about is Roe v. Wade and gay marriage and everything, but it doesn't motivate Democrats in the same way it does Republicans. When Republicans see an open seat or they see that they could affect change on the judicial area, they go to vote even if they don't like Donald Trump. And I think that speaks to the fact that Democrat voters, I'm not saying it's an unkind way, they're just not as educated about what really happens with a judiciary that can be helpful to a president one way or the other. They don't understand that on the way Republicans do. So if Republicans focus on getting judges they need and not going down this rabbit hole of activist courts, it can be much more helpful for them than versus it would be for Democrats.
Yeah, and I guess my other point is it's not just happening at the Supreme Court at the federal level. These are local judges that are now in places where, I mean, you can't go into someone's. To me, this is a non-starter. They're just asking for a riot. You can't go into someone's historic little town that many of these people have grown up in and lived in their whole life. They've seen this statue on their way to work, on their way to church, on their way to the store. They've seen these statues their entire lives. They know the stories of the men. You can't just go in there as a disinterested third party because you have a black robe on and the state supposedly gave you power and tell those people that they're all wrong. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with the guy that they lionize, and you're going to fix it. And then order it to be done. And I'm telling you, human nature doesn't work that way. Imagine if these were Vikings. Imagine if the men of that town in North Carolina were Vikings. That judge would already be an Iron Eagle, or the Viking Eagle. What was this in the TV show, the Vikings, where they take the lungs out and they throw them over the back of the person's shoulder, and there's a term for it. People are a blood eagle. People are fed up with this. There is a rising amount of angst out there where people are going like, wait a minute. A Judge Ware said what? And people that aren't even from this state? And of course, if you try to countersue, your suit gets thrown out and you get told you don't have standing. And I'm telling you, one of these we don't have standing is going to lead to a conflict. Somebody somewhere down the line is going to put a circle of redneck guys with ARs around one of those statues, and you're like, he ain't going nowhere, bro. He ain't going nowhere. You might as well just take your little crane and go home, boy, because he ain't going. And they would be justified in doing so. Is my point. Mike Churchill here on the Crusade channel here on the Veritas, here on the Crusade channel here at crusadechannel.com. Mac, I want to read this to you. The guy that runs the Chivalry Guild on X.com quotes an old passage from a great old conservative writer, Samuel Francis. I think all the things that you and I are talking about right now can be summed up by Samuel Francis's kind of inventory of conservatism in 1991. He wrote this, in part, quote, "My conclusion that conservatism has transformed itself into virtual extinction will surprise and perhaps even anger those who are reluctant to admit that some things, even ideas, fail. Regarding political events as the earthly manifestations of timeless abstractions, the intellectual mainstream of the old right, from the end of World War II, developed a highly sophisticated body of ideas and a highly articulate body of spokesmen to express them. Perhaps because they were too uxoriously wedded to Richard Weaver's principle that ideas have consequences, most of the conservative intellectuals who've subscribed to this body of thought always seem to assume that it was only a matter of time before their own beliefs would creep up on the ideas of the left, slit their throats in the dark, and stage an intellectual and cultural coup d'etat, after which truth would reign. I have never thought so, in part because I have less faith in the power of intellectual abstractions than most of my conservative colleagues. I place more emphasis on the concrete force of elites, organization, and psychic and social forces such as class and regional and ethnic identity than on formal intellectual abstractions and their logical extrapolations as the determining forces of history. So if that sounded verbose and long, let me summarize what he's saying. Democrats organized and acted. Republicans fought and wrote books and went, we're intellectually superior to you idiot leftards. You're a bunch of pinko, commie, rainbow, and peace sign flag wavers. But they got the job done. Republicans and conservatives thought, we'll just outthink them, in other words. In other words, action is what is required. I still don't think most Republicans and most conservatives have gotten that action is what is required. And seemingly, you can knock the left all you want, and we do, but at least, but those are all astroturf. They got Soros paid for them. You know what? The guy down the street that lives in Mayberry doesn't know that. He does not know that. All he knows is that the leftards came to his town, and he had to go clean up all their crap off the street. The point is that they act, and the people on the right, for the most part, talk.
Well, that's very true, and that's sort of my position always, is that Democrats come in on this hope and change agenda, not just Obama. I mean, all of them. They use different terminology for it, but that's their shtick. And then the country collapses, or it's stagnant, or it's just not great, which is a crisis when it's a country as big as America. And then Republicans come in, they fix it, they stop the bleeding, and then we start this cycle again of things are so great, we need hope and change. And it's extraordinarily frustrating. I remember being frustrated about it as an 8-year-old with Obama in 2008. I remember thinking to myself, this doesn't make any sense. What are you all talking about? How is this supposed to help? And that's something that Republicans need to get better at, stopping this endless cycle, because every time it happens, it then takes many more years to correct. And the thing is that Democrats, they don't have a timeline. They can peddle hope and change for 10 years, 15 minutes. They're under no timeline. But Republicans get in, they have to fix the country, and they have time limits.
Well, let me just say, this is another reason why when somebody goes, Mike, you used to be a good libertarian. You used to be one of us. Why are you so pro-tariff? Because it's an action. I happen to think it's the right action. It's an action. It's saying we're not sitting around anymore. China, you're going to pay. Japan, you're paying. All of you've been ripped, as Trump says, they've been ripping us off for 40, 50 years now. They're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to. Those are acts. Those aren't statements, audience. Those are actions. You can disagree with them and say that the policy is wrong. Again, I happen to think he's correct. But those are actions, and that is what is driving the leftard, which is why their entire focus, all their fire, For a brief moment, they aimed at Texas. That's all over now. Their fire is now returned back to what they view as ground zero, which is we have to stop this alpha male Trump from accomplishing things, because if someone comes behind him and thinks that they can and should do the same thing, actions, we're screwed. Now, you make a really good point. The leftards have so screwed things up. How long is the repair job going to take? A decade? A century? That's a rhetorical question. I don't have the answer to it.
Well, it could take decades, and it's frustrating because for example, Trump's been a little bit MIA the last few days. They acted as if he was concealing that he had died. It was insanity, and they were pretending that they had a right to know and everything. Jill Biden was running the country for 3.5 years. Nobody cared. And we were told we were bad and ungrateful to the grandfatherly figure of Joe Biden for asking where he was and who was running the country. And this is what Democrats do. They have no timeline. They have nothing they need to get done in time. So Republicans often seem like we're trying to push a lot of things through. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to keep things on track because we know that we don't get infinite, hopes and prayers in terms of it's all going to be fine and we'll just get a new candidate who peddles the same things Obama peddled in 2008. And that's a very frustrating place to be in consistently politically, because you know that if you lose, you're going to have to wait 4 to 8 years to fix everything bad that's happened. And I think that for Republican politicians who genuinely feel a call to serve, they have an idea of, we have to get in, because if we don't, it's all going to collapse. And that's a horrible thing to live in all the time.
I want to play, Maggie, play digital media file number 6. Look at what's happening in Chicago right now. Look at what's happening in the state of Illinois. Pritzker and that goofball stupid mayor have not been seen since the holiday.
The mayor was just...
Was the mayor just out? Was he proclaiming the paradise on earth that is Chicago, and that the streets weren't really shot up? There's not 50 some odd people were shot, not 7 killed. This is just look, that's a reduction. Last year there were 11 people killed on a Labor Day. We are making progress on murder. I don't know what you say other than as Muriel Bowser did, or as this guy. Okay, do you have Brandon Johnson?
Yeah.
Here's what the mayor said. I haven't seen this, actually. Here you go.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people, a land that is built by workers? Are you prepared to defend this land?
I'm pretty sure slaves didn't build the high-rises.
United will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this Constitution.
Yeah, so that was him yesterday.
That was him yesterday. Slaves did not build the Hancock Center. They didn't build the Sears Tower. They didn't build Soldier Stadium. They didn't build Wrigley Field. What the hell is this lunatic talking about? And where are the sane people in Chicago saying, get out of the way and let the president make the place safe again? This is madness.
I mean, it is. But Chicago is a maddening place. They live in a constant war zone by their own people. It's not foreign nationals coming into Chicago shooting up people constantly. It's their own residents. They live in a constant war zone, soaked in poverty with no economic advantage, and they're in one of the major cities of the country. It's craziness that they live like this. And I don't really understand, the poor people of Chicago. For people who are trying to build their lives and try to get out of it, I get it. But in general, you're just in America. Why can't you fix your community? Why are we talking about psychoanalyzing why these things happen? They stop if you have police and you arrest the bad people and you have zero tolerance. This isn't complicated. But Democrats spin this web of the fact that we have to analyze why the bad things happen in order to stop us from taking action to stop them. They want to trap us in a constant psychoanalyzation cycle so that we never take action. Trump is the most anti-that person I've ever seen ever. He is it's bad, let's do something about it. He is a total action guy. So when you have that, the action guy looks around and goes, but they're just like, they're killing each other, so let's just stop it. And he can't understand why we have to psychoanalyze. I mean, you know how many grants go to analyzing why there's violence in Chicago? Because there's gangs and people are uneducated, and it's a cycle of poverty. When Trump says, I'm going to go in and save Chicago or fix it, he means it, and he can do it because he's not soaking in the psychoanalyzation constantly.
Well, there's a lot of meat on that bone. We could talk about it. I want to talk about Stephen Miller, Trump, and what are other things that are similar to what you just described. This is Boston. This is an imam named Abdullah Farouk. If this isn't an excuse for a deportation or a repatriation order from wherever this clown came from, I don't know what is.
They would clearly tell you that there's a great spirit. There is even a statue in front of the Museum of Fine Arts with a native upon a horse with his arms like this here, like he's making dua. And it's called, I think it's by Dallin, the sculptor, and it's called Appeal to the Great Spirit. Appeal to the Great Spirit. What is that? Dua. Calling upon God Almighty to send the European home, probably. Go back where you came from, because you've done nothing but caused hell in this country and all over the world.
Where did you come
hear me,
from?
America, you know you've done it. This is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's the land of the coward and the home of the slave. Islam is America's future, or
no, it's
without
not.
Islam, America will meet its demise. Islam means submission to the will of God. This is one nation under God. I believe that even if you lied, and even if you lied about this, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and you never believed that, and you didn't consider your fellow men as being your equal or fair, you're a bunch of cowards because you don't want to get on the basketball court with us because we'll whip you. You don't want to let us on the baseball field because we'll whip you. You don't want to let us on the boardrooms because we'll whip you, or at least give you a run for your money. You're outnumbered and you're afraid that even your women might love some of the people who say that they're Muslim or people of color. Don't be afraid. We're all human beings. What's wrong with you? I'm asking you, you sick Americans, what is wrong with you? Not all of America. There are plenty of white people.
Enough. You can go back to Arabia, pal. You can go back to whatever third world backwater stinks to high heaven, Sharia law, slime factory you crawled out of. I don't even know what this clown is talking about. What I guess white men are afraid to play baseball against brown and black men. This is. It has me tongue twisted because I'm trying to put the right sequence of words together. Delusional. But they record this stuff intentionally. They know it's inflammatory. Then they're going to rebroadcast it so people like me will hear it and will play it to an audience like you. And it's almost like this is like a nanya boo-boo. Nothing you can do about it. We're going to stay here until we ruin everything and sin. Go back to Europe. You know, my ancestors, Magdalene, came here, and my great-grandfather, 9 generations removed, T. Claude, came here from the Vendée in France in 1787. 1787. That's an awful long time. So do I have to find out where great-grandpa Guidry came from and go back? But again, this is meant to provoke. The same people that say all they want is peace spend their time making provocations like that. If there was ever an excuse for a revocation of whatever order or whatever green card or whatever visa that clown is on, that is a good one. If Stephen Miller wants to make a point, send that guy back to Saudi Arabia.
I think Marco Rubio would be very interested in doing that. He loves pulling visas of people saying hateful things in the United States. And I think, this ideology of we should go back to Europe, it's just ridiculous. And they say this because they've done nothing to build their own communities, so they must be constantly victims. And this is sort of what nobody mentions, is that it's not one community's fault that the other one, with all the same advantages, and in many ways more advantages because of the level of DEI that's gone on for decades, even before it was called that, still lives in poverty. Like, it's not one group's fault. And I think that that's sort of the point of this, and that's why there's so much racial tension. One group isn't responsible for another group with all the pluses and advantages not succeeding. It just is ridiculous. And we talk about why white Gen Z men, or white men in general really, are moving so far right. Because if they are the most hated upon group in America. And they know they were handed nothing. So they live in a constant state of, I was not handed anything, and yet you constantly call me privileged, and you say I'm oppressing you. And those are the people that these people hate the most, because they know that they can have power, they can be influential. They just have to remember that they don't owe anybody anything, that they don't have to constantly pay this forward. They don't have to constantly apologize for, like, sins of the past. And also the idea that no other racial group did anything savage in history is something that's really been perpetuated. And I remember hearing this starting in the beginning of high school, not really before that, but like 2013, 2014. We began to constantly hear how only white people did bad things. Only white people had savagery. That's just not true. But that's what people are being raised on now.
You know what? Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Churchill here on the Crusade Channel. Sunday's saint was Saint Raymond Nonatus. Saint Raymond Nonatus. Since Magdalene touched upon it, I want to touch upon it now. What was Saint Raymond Nonatus? What was his charism, if you will, or what was part of his story while he was alive? Magdalene, you probably don't know. Most of the audience probably doesn't know. But if you listen to Sister Maria Philomena's Saint of the Day or Sermon Sunday, you know. And that is Saint Raymond Nonatus was a member of the order, and this was in the 11th century, called the Mercedarians. The Mercedarians, founded by St. Peter Nolasco. What was the charism, if you will, of the Mercedarians? Well, they would go into places south of Spain where Muslim Africans took over the southern part of Spain. They would go to the southern part of Spain that was Muslim, and these are white guys now, and they would get enough money together to ransom, that is to buy the freedom of white Spaniards, French, Portuguese, Italians, whoever the Mohammedans had kidnapped. Now, these are Africans kidnapping Europeans and enslaving them. So the Mercedarians would go and ransom. All right, how much you want for 30 of those white guys? Well, we want 60 pieces of silver, whatever the ransom was. Saint Raymond Nonatus, at one point, was out of money and needed to free, and saw that there were thousands of his countrymen that were still being enslaved by the Muslims, and so he offered himself up. This is a white Spaniard a priest who offered himself up to black Africans who were Mohammedans in exchange for the release of 28 other white people that were enslaved by blacks. The idea here that white people invented slavery in the 17th century here in the United States is so historically ignorant and stupid. Anyone that even espouses it, as soon as they do it, well, then you know that everything else they're about to say is wrong. But there you go. You just heard it again. So again, there has been slavery. The point, Europeans were the victims of slavery. They weren't the inventors of it, is the point. And then finally, we get this. Going back to the liberal women and the destruction of American civilization, we'll close on this. Over the past decade, the unexpected ascendancy of Donald Trump and the America First movement represented not only an existential setback for a vast litany of farcical causes, but prompted the nonsensical belief that Trump is the epitome of white supremacy and a disciple of fascism. These portrayals serve their purpose in infuriating the fatuous political subgroup that is liberal, black, and white women. Thus, they have doubled down on mindlessly continuing to espouse the following civilizational destroying policies. And then he lists 8 of them. 1. The nation and its government, in order to ensure gender equality or equity, must ratify that there are no differences, particularly in the arena of sports. And he gives the list. 2, what has long been considered a treatable mental illness, gender dysphoria. I said this earlier. The state of Minnesota has enshrined gender dysphoria as the highest calling on all of Earth. If you are gender dysphoric, you are somehow a proto-feminist of some sort, and this is the highest calling in all of Earth. We salute you, all of you. Well, wait a minute. Almost all gender dysphoria, Magdalene, is suffered by boys. Not all, but by males pretending they're fake females. So you have men invading women's areas, sports, and wherever else they can invade, and they're not females. I mean, this is literally the clinical definition of insanity here. And yet they proceed. I just don't know how long. Well, this kind of mental illness has to burn itself out, I would think.
Well, I think it will, and I think that's something we're seeing across the board. And it's kind of why, if you look at culture right now, there are not endless discussions about sort of race and gender in the same way there were a few years ago. If you think back to like 2021, 2020, 2022, those time periods, it was all about that. And then in about 2023, people got sick of it. And then 2024, they voted for Trump. And I think that the thing with Trump is not that he's particularly ideological. It's that he signals the fact that people aren't going to have to think about politics all the time because he's got it. And that's what the president is supposed to do. He's supposed to be somebody who just handles the stuff, and you don't have to. And if there's something really big, like a war or a crisis, he's going to ask for your help, and you'll help him because you feel like he's done a good job, and not every factor is within his control, and we're a powerful country, and we're constantly going to be attacked in multiple ways. But that's what politics is supposed to be. Under Obama, we got in this period of time where we have to constantly, talk about everything and debate everything. And not that debate is bad, but we had to do it at a sickening level because Obama was constantly trying to hide the fact that he was accomplishing nothing and doing a terrible job as president. So the way that he hid that was constant discussion around how he was being treated and how his initiatives were being received. We turned commentary into sort of policing and politics in a way that was very dangerous. And Obama did that on purpose to cover himself continuously. Trump doesn't do that. He doesn't really care if you're talking about him, if you're not criticizing him. If you're just putting the country into auto drive and you're letting him do it, he doesn't care. And that's very refreshing for people who have had to live primarily under the Obama-Biden years.
By the way, Trump just tweeted out, Chicago is a murder capital of the world. You're an embarrassment and you're a disgrace. It's hard to imagine a scenario under which the Democrat Party is going to so-called double down on this, but I don't see now that you've been backed into a corner. You almost have to offer up the citizens or the remaining citizens of Chicago, Illinois. You almost have to offer them up as tribute to the Democrat Party, to the demigod that is the Democrat Party. You know, it's like John Lithgow from Shrek. Some of you may die, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And apparently people dying every weekend in the mean streets of Chicago. You know, Magdalene, have you ever been to Chicago?
I have not.
Maggie, you've been. How many of you have raise your hand out there if you've been to Chicago? Do you know where where Soldier Field is? I've been there twice. Now I'm raising my hand. Soldier Field. Now it's not literally. I mean, it's not next to the Sears Tower, but it's not far. You can see the lakefront. You can see Lake Michigan if you sit up in the nosebleeds on the eastern side. It is near enough to downtown Chicago where if you got to walk, you park your car 5-6 blocks away or whatever, you got to walk to Soldier Field. You're going to walk through a pretty dangerous. Well, there it is. Now, as I said, See the Sears Tower in the background? See that? Okay, there's Lake Michigan. Maggie put the picture in the chat room so people could see it. Where that road is to the right of Soldier Field is Lake Michigan. Right here to your right is Lake Michigan. There's downtown. That area right there. See that area to the left right there? Those are projects. See that high rise in the left center of the pit? Those are projects. That's where the people in Good Times, the TV comedy show, that's where they live right there. That way and then south. You're now putting a sports fan. Hey, you want to go watch the Saints play the Bears? Go to Soldier Stadium? Yeah, no, I don't want to be a soldier either. No. I don't want to go. There's a great conference that's in Chicago this weekend. No, I don't want to go. That ought to be the response. You can take your Illinois and your Chicago and your deep dish pizza and all the other great things about it, and you can suck it. We're not going anywhere near it. You're going to become the ostrich. If you want to have Snake Plissken run in your city, then you can have Snake Plissken run in your city, and you can call it Escape from Chicago. We're not coming to rescue you. The point ought to be, you leftards, if you wanted that desperately, if you want to kill that city and those people, we're going to pray that they survive or the good people get out. But you're on your own. At some point in time, even though it's a great a great major American city, well, you know what? At one point in time, Constantinople fell and became. Whatever the Muslim enclave, the name escapes me, and it's right there in front of me, and I should know it. At some point in time, good American people are just going to go like, screw you, and screw that. We have no interest in that. You're on your own.
I think that's true.
Istanbul. Constantinople became Istanbul.
I think the other thing with Chicago as well is that it was supposed to be, if you remember, the Obamas were supposed to remake it. They were supposed to make it into this endless sort of liberal oasis, and that has never happened. And we constantly heard about how Chicago made the Obamas, and it created them, and it helped them. So they invented this sort of mirage around Chicago as being a wonderful place. And Trump has very bullishly said, it's the murder capital of the world. Everyone's dying. Something has to happen. And Democrats get very uncomfortable when you debunk their illusions, especially when it's an illusion involving the Obamas, which is like their Bible. Like, you don't mess with the Obamas. So for Democrats to be dealing with a situation where Obama was president for 8 years, did nothing for Chicago, Chicago markedly got much worse by every metric. They're in a place where they don't want to accept that. But also, Trump just took over D.C., so they have to accept it.
Final note here. Governor Jeff Landry just posted on his Twitter that Secretary Rollins has signed the SNAP waiver for the state of Louisiana. Governor Landry says, soda and candy are out, rotisserie chickens are in. You should have said crawfish etouffee is in, Governor. This is happening all across America. The Maha agenda, very slowly but surely, taking place. I got to tell you, corporate America, I don't know when they're going to get off their duffs and do something about this. The little guy, the little mom and pop's already moving. Our little regional grocery store already has the raw milk section now. They spent the money. The health board said they had to do this and that. And they went, okay. And they went ahead and did it. The big corporations are way behind on this. Little small town and midtown America, slowly but surely turning back to our food supply. Anyway, from whence they came from, and with all the problems that go along with it and the struggles and all that. Magdalene, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Folks, I looked at the stats for last September. $4,600 was raised, and there were 39 donors. Do the math. That means that there were over 100, that the average was over $100 per. So we're not asking for that. We'd like to see 78 donors. More donors, and spreading the pie around or the burden around. We got two contributions today, and we only have 4 days to hit this week's target. So crusadechannel.com/donate. By the way, Again, I know everyone thinks that the Saint Fairy or the Saint of the Day Fairy and the Sermon Sunday Fairy just kind of produce all these things and make them sound so awesome and easy for you to download or listen to or grab as a podcast. Not true. It's a lot of work. Whatever the sisters send me for the Saint of the Day goes on the website at crusadechannel.com. If it's long, well, then we have to make an edited version for airplay. So it's snappier, it's quicker. But the full version is always posted at crusadechannel.com under the Sermon Sunday podcast. There's also a series filter for them. So if you're looking for the Saint of the Day, just another thing to enhance the service and to add more great content to the site at crusadechannel.com. All right, news breaks out today. We'll break in. Thanks for joining us again. To join, crusadechannel.com/join. To donate, crusadechannel.com/donate. Have a safe and blessed remainder of the day. God bless you and Mary keep you. Saint Stephen of Hungary, pray for us.
It won't be long. I'm going